It's just charging. Yeah, we live?
And take a second.
How do they want to get going with the draw?
You're on.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you. My apologies for being a few minutes late to get started. But I appreciate you all waiting. I appreciate you all being here tonight. This is the what day is today? The 23rd. This is the October 23rd meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just as a preliminary, we have one public hearing tonight that will start no earlier than 8 p.m. On the leaf blower exemption legislation. Otherwise, we have a pretty straightforward agenda. We have a presentation discussion with Sustainability Committee, and then we'll be getting to the meat of the agenda. I did want to take a moment to congratulate Elise Stone and Craig. How can I forget? It's Craig Smith. Well, that's easy. Craig Smith from the Phoenix Festival on a successful 2-week. They had a wonderful 2-week festival. It brings a lot of people to Nyack. We're very grateful. It was the 4th annual one, and they've done a wonderful job with it. Are these on?
There's that.
And so I want to congratulate them for a wonderful festival. And I want to thank all the people that worked so hard on it. I also wanted to remind everybody that this Saturday is the Halloween parade. We have a lot of festivities coming up. The Halloween parade, there's then a party afterwards at the Orangetown Firehouse on Depot Place. There's a party afterwards at the Nyack Center for Kids. And there will also be a showing of the movie Rocky Horror Picture Show in the lot next to the Hezekiah Easter Square, probably about 7:30, which should be a lot of fun. The whole thing is a really wonderful. I want to congratulate and commend the Chamber of Commerce for all the work they do, particularly Bill Batson, who's been working overtime trying to secure everything they need to do the movie. With that said, I'll throw it to the other members of the board if they have any other comments. But before we did there, I did want to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of former Mayor Terry Hecker, who is a real remarkable woman. I admired her very much. I liked her very much. She was somebody who was a resource to me when I was first getting started working with the village. She's part of an indispensable family for the village of Nyack. The people in that family have done so much for our community. So we send them our condolences. And I'd like to just take a moment of silence now to remember her and in her honor. So please join me in that. Thank you. She was a remarkable woman. We will not see her like again. She was tremendous. Any comments from the Board of Trustees?
I just have one.
Sure.
Sorry. Sorry, just looking, early voting starts on Saturday. For most of Nyack, you can vote at any of the town halls, but Orangetown is the closest, so, make a plan to vote and bring a friend.
All right, that's good advice. Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I spoke to the mayor about this yesterday regarding the Depew House on Piermont Avenue. It's a complicated story, but basically there is a group called the Friends of Depew House, who are looking to get a historic landmark designation for it. There was a very good presentation made at the previous Board of Trustees for the library meeting, and I'm just hoping that we can get them into the next meeting for them to do a presentation.
Okay. Sure, we can arrange that. Anybody else?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to just say that I want to thank our community. We had a fundraiser at the Angel in Nyack a couple weeks ago for the displaced families from Nyack Plaza. And I just want to give a special shout out to David and Brianne Budway and Susan Wilmick of the Angel and her board. I mean, it was just an amazing event. That evening, they had it running through a week later, so I'm not sure of the total. But that evening, we raised 14,000. I'm not sure what it's up to now, but just want to thank everyone for that. And then also, actually, on Halloween, the 31st, there will be the Phantom of the Opera, I
Yep.
think, playing at the Angel, and they've got a huge organ in there with the big bagpipes. And I think there's a dinner before that, but anyway, it's supposed to be a wonderful event on actual Halloween in case anybody's interested. That's it.
I will also add about Halloween, which next weekend. Every year Upper Nyack closes North Broadway from about they've generally have closed it from as to the edge of Upper Nyack. But it caused like traffic problems because people they closed up to Tallman. And then people would have to turn off Tallman, which is kind of more of a residential road than a thorough road. You have to then make another turn and then go. So we're actually this year going to be helping them out. We're going to be closing down within Nyack, North Broadway, north of 6th Avenue, so that people who stumble upon the road closure can then turn up 6th Avenue and get around it without getting caught up in the warren of roads in the interior. So we're proud to be part of that because it's a wonderful tradition to have in Upper Nyack to do that. And I've always said we should do that as well. And so at least we're doing it for a little bit. So I'm saying that to some extent, we got to send warning to the people who live on North Broadway between 6th and Tallman that they're going to get a lot more trick-or-treaters than they normally get. So be forewarned.
Buy more candy.
Buy more candy.
I would argue though, that since they've been doing that since I was a kid, they know to get all their candy.
Well, but
because
they're not the closer. Everybody goes through that, but
everyone passes through there and they're like, let's hit up the houses on the way.
that's possible. I think it's harder I think it's even more when you are on the closure route. All right, we have opportunity. Anybody else? We have an opportunity for public comment. This is on any topic that is not on our agenda. So anything that someone wants to bring up, if it's on the agenda, we will allow people to make public comment during that agenda item. So they can talk during the discussion and not while it's disconnected from the item. So if anybody's got a public comment on a non-agenda item, you can come up and address it. If not, let's move to a presentation. Marcy Denker from the head of the sustainability coordinator is going to give us a comment, some commentary on the draft Nyack climate adoption plan. Thank you, Marcy, and thank you, Marcy, for everything that you do. I just gave a presentation to the Nyack Library today about progress we've made in various areas, and one of them was on sustainability. And I specifically said I have had nothing to do with this. Has all been Marcy Denker and Steve Sia, who actually I only credited you, and they said, "Well, what about Steve Sia?" Because he's head of their board. I said, "Oh, well, okay, yes, Steve Sia. Steve's wonderful, and Steve is very involved in that as well." But you've done a wonderful job, and you got us that silver status, which has been great. And you've done so many things for our climate efforts here in Nyack. So thank you for that. And let's see what you have to say for that.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna hold this up because my voice is pretty small. So I'm here to give you just a short overview of the final draft of the climate adaptation plan that we've been working on since the beginning of the year, so that we can then get some feedback from you if we need by the end of the month, and then get it out to the public for comments during the month of November. The other stakeholders who have been involved in developing the plan have already been sent this to review as well. So we're really at the final stages of this project. The project is funded by the New York State DEC Hudson River Estuary Program, and it's designed to comply with a couple of actions in the Climate Smart Communities program, the vulnerability assessment, and the climate adaptation plan. So it's both of those things in one. And the way that we did it is that in the first half of this year, we worked on assessing the vulnerability of village to climate hazards. The 4 hazards that we're addressing are extreme heat and heat waves, extreme weather events, including heavier precipitation, storms, especially flooding and drought, sea level rise and storm surge, and climate change related disease or illness. The process during the beginning of the year was to gather a group of stakeholders in a small, really targeted group of stakeholders in a workshop. We had a meeting of the steering committee who developed outreach. We sent a mailing out to everybody in 10960 to tell them that there was a public survey to take, and also a public workshop that took place at the end of March. After that, we followed up with other targeted meetings with other stakeholders, including O&R and the water department, the hospital, the health department, and others. So that we included also people from United Center, Creative Paging. So we tried to get everybody, who were important points of view to get involved in the process. Another really important thing that we're going to need to do in order to comply with the requirements in the Climate Smart Communities program is show that we've put in addition to the plan up for public review, is to have the vision statement there. And I'm not going to read it, but it's the vision, the section of the report talks about the sort of ways that we want to get to what we will do as a community to get where we go, but also a narrative that kind of pictures where we are as a resilient community in 2045. So the report's organized first with the research about what this region is expected to experience in the next 20, 40, 60, 80 years in terms of these risks, and the understanding that this is something that's just evolving and continuing to be understood. And then as I said, the vulnerability assessment. And then since July, basically, we've been really trying to put together the recommendations, and they're in the report in the form of these checklists of actions that we should take. And then there's an extra section beyond the 4 that addresses these compound events where you have more than one thing happening at one time, where you have a power outage at the same time that you have an extended heat wave or something like that. The top concerns that we identified were in the extreme heat and heat waves, protecting vulnerable populations. That would include pregnant women, outdoor workers, elderly people, and people with pre-existing conditions. Water quality impacts, that was a big one that sort of was eye-opening to me. Short-term droughts and brush fires, increased demand for air conditioning, electricity demand, supply and affordability, building efficiency upgrades and weatherization, and environmental impacts on the natural landscape from heat. Extreme weather, wind, rain, snow, ice, drought. Threats to public safety, property damage, basement flooding, flash floods, falling trees, frozen pipes, etc. Impacts to power, water, and wastewater infrastructure. And sea level rise and storm surge, the built environment, potential flood damage to properties along the riverfront, parking lot flooding, damage and evacuation needs, boats and moorings damage, and the natural environment, like in the park where you have salt water and flooding damage to the land and the plantings. And climate change related illness, you have the heat related illnesses, respiratory diseases related to air quality, ground level ozone and wildfire smoke, vector-borne diseases like ticks and mosquitoes, and potentially other emerging diseases. So the key next steps for us outlined in here are emergency preparedness, to review and update the NIAC emergency plan, update and expand NIAC's response and preparedness information on the village website, establish a climate resilience team of key village, town, and county stakeholders. And we've started to do that, and gotten a commitment from people to continue that work. Clarify and publicize early warning system operations for the village, or the public, rather. Establish and expand cooling and warming center options. That is another action that we could do in the Climate Smart Communities program, is to study that and outline how to do it. Plan for emergency shelters, assess plan for backup power needs at key community sites, and understand battery backup systems too, and host emergency preparedness workshops. That's something that, you know, we can do with the Department of Homeland Security. Making private buildings resilient, develop tools and programming for increasing weatherization and efficiency upgrades and heat pump conversions. Help people who need to move mechanical systems above flood elevation. You know, this is a lot of, you know, trying to support the needs of the community, obviously, for these as private property concerns. Encourage backup generator installations and battery backup. And seek funding and technical support for the above building improvements. In terms of infrastructure resilience, addressing downtown flooding by continuing to maintain and improve the storm sewer system. You know, we need to have a problem here with illegal connections to the storm sewer from, you know, sump pumps and so forth, so which causes problems for infiltration and sewage overflows into the Hudson River. Complete mapping of the MS4 system and obtain a hydrovac truck. Improve the systems of the Nyack water plant and system. Investigate funding sources and cost-saving measures, including demand response. Acquire temporary barriers to protect the plant from flooding. Continue with the collaboration with Nyack Hospital and others to ensure redundancy in hospital water quality and supply, and install new flushers and aeration devices. And then for green infrastructure, increase the tree canopy coverage and improve maintenance and protection of trees. Plan proactively for climate change impacts on the natural landscape and reduce impervious surface by removing paving to add more planting. In public health protection plan for heat illness prevention programming and outreach, and especially targeting vulnerable populations, and expand outreach and education about climate change related disease. And that's the summary. So I can take any questions.
One of the things that jumped out at me, which I wanted to ask you about, was of all the various risks that have been associated, and I was looking very carefully to see what like actionable things could the village be doing now that would put us in a better position as these things start to evolve. And one of the things that really struck me was we obviously know a lot about the flooding risk. We know about the seawater risk. We've been cognizant of that as we've done the work that's coming up on Memorial Park, because that's at risk, as would be if we put a new restaurant into the old River Club space. But things like a lot of homes in Nyack do not have air conditioning, and you mentioned that. And so old homes that don't ventilate well, they're not good for hot, extreme heat environments. And you mentioned that there might be programs to help people in situations to be able to get them. Are those programs existent now that we could coordinate a response to get residents in the village, start getting them air conditioning that would help them in those, what are now 5 days a year, but soon will be a dozen days a year, and maybe more than that, where there'll be extreme heat and humidity?
Well, the way I put it in, the recommendations was like to start by finding out who those people might be.
Mm-hmm.
Part of this is some things that we've thought about when we were doing the climate action plan and dealing with thinking about mitigation and getting people to get heat, more efficient, like heat pumps and, getting those kinds of projects done. But unfortunately, this is probably the hardest thing to do in the whole report, because it has to do with getting people to pay attention to the existing programs that are out there, but the programs themselves are not that easy to access, and they're not always that appealing. So Rockland County has an energy advisor at Cornell Cooperative Extension, who's our partner in this. The air conditioning program that the state has to provide air conditioning for people who don't have it, there's a question mark about whether that's even available at this time. And some of the we have extra problems now because of loss of funding from, federal programs. So it's in here as a thing to tackle. It's big to actually understand the problem. We know where people have a burden of like where people have really inefficient heating systems and they pay for their own, probably not very efficient air conditioning systems in Nyack Plaza, for example. I don't really even have any idea what's happening at the Nyack Housing Authority or any other, place in particular. So it's a smart, good question to ask, and I really don't have any simple way for us to get answers about it.
All right.
That's a great question,
Mhm.
Joe.
It's because I'm looking for stuff that we could do.
Yeah.
There's a lot that, that is gonna be larger scale than us, but there are things that that the village could do and could start soon, could start building up those programs.
I
A
mean,
lot of it is really about outreach and having those relationships with people who have relationship with people so that they can get answers, because you heard me say what I did to do outreach on this. We put out a notice to everybody in the village. We got 30-something people to come to the public workshop. We had 97 people, reply to the survey. And it was really like pulling teeth to get other people into the room to discuss this. And it's not, it was not a surprise to me that that was the case, because that's, people are busy. They have a lot of things that they're trying to do, but there's also one of the things in the vision is actually making the commitment to create those relationships, and that sort of those inroads to have this conversation so we can understand what's happening.
I wanted just to remind, one of the things that comes up in the packet is an advisory system. And for alerts on emergencies, and we do have a text message system that we've never used. We haven't sent the message. We started last year. We've been getting people to sign up, but we haven't used it to send anything out. But we need to make a push to get people to sign up for that, because sending emails out is not effective. Putting social media out is not effective. People, they live on their phones. If you get a text message and you send it to their phone, they will see it. So if there's an emergency that we have to alert them to, sending it as a text message is really the way to go. But we only have 400 or 500 people signed up for it right now, which means it's not really very effective. We're not really reaching the village. So we need to get a promotion to get that started, because we should have that in place for the winter, because that's how we're going to make announcements about snow emergencies, things like that. But the more people we get signed up for it, once they're signed up, they generally don't opt out. So we'll keep gathering them. So as this gets worse, we'll have a way to communicate to them in urgent situations.
Oh.
We should continue to do that.
question about that, is that the same one as the water department sign up
No,
or
separate one. Two different. The water department, the water department does its own
Okay.
alerts.
And do our alerts also include, like, say if you have a landline, if you called it, would it leave a message or something? Sort of how when school gets out, they just call your house and leave an automatic message.
I believe that there's a way for them for an alert to go out via phone call.
Okay.
So if you sign up with a number, you would get
Yeah.
the phone call.
Okay,
But I'll check that. It's a good
Yeah.
question.
I'm just thinking of elderly folks who may not have cell phones, or anyone who just still has a
Clarkstown
landline.
Police use that for notification by phone.
Mhm.
And they just leave a message, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, we had a meeting with ONR, DPW, the Rockland County Office of Fire and Emergency, Water Department, and this came up, and I'm still confused because there are a lot of different sort of
Mhm.
overlapping and
Mhm.
redundant, and it's not necessarily bad to have redundancy, but it's good for somebody to understand the whole tree. And then the village of Hastings
Mhm.
has a kind of model website for emergencies, so we can use that as a template and work through. And then, ask questions to these other parties, and then once we get it all figured out, we can do public outreach.
That's good. Okay, I'll take a look at this. Hastings.
Right,
If you need
Yeah.
to be connected, let me know.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
And thank you for this section on the water rise. That was very helpful to hear about that. We're gonna have troubles with the condos on the water, both the co-ops and the condos. And that will have that's why we're being very cognizant as we're doing the improvements to the park, that like to put in things that will be sustainable in the event of seawater rise and then fall back and come up and fall back, that saltwater resistant trees and things like that. And I know that I see John come out in the back. John's been really vigilant in talking about the seawater rise and how it might affect the waterfront. I think he's been really strong on that and keeping that on front and center of people's attention. And so I'm glad to see this addressed here. And you know, it's we have to just take, there has to be mitigating thing. We can't move the buildings out of the way. There's no way to lift them up. It's not like the houses down the shore where they put them on, they lift them up and put them up 2 stories. Or in Piermont, that's right, they're doing that in Piermont too. And it's tough to do a 250 unit condo building and lift it up in the air. So that's a big lift.
Well, the plan doesn't even address the vacant lot. I mean, I don't really know because I actually didn't look hard at it as part of the assessment to say like what the proposal for that development, how it.
Oh, the vacant lot, yes, that's right. They're obviously gonna have to, that's a different issue entirely, but they will. They'll need to be cognizant, and the building department when we finally see these plans, we'll have to.
You know, there's, public space in the design originally, and so the design for the public space should be appropriate, just like it should be for the park, right?
Yeah. All right.
We did have a good conversation. I did a few weeks ago with Steve, somebody from the Night Boat Club, who's an engineer, and helped them a lot in figuring out problems that they had and still face at the boat club.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him, Andy, but some of the things that they were thinking about are the things that all these waterfront communities are trying to deal with that have to do with the dredging and sea level rise. I was over at a tour of the Tarrytown waterfront a week or so ago too, as the village administrator over there, taking people around in the flood resilience network. And so it's part of it is actually just learning from other people how they're thinking about addressing these things, maybe teaming up with people on projects.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I
Okay.
just had so I don't know if it's a question, I guess, for you or best for you guys. How did you come to the determination for the Nyack Center to potentially be not the Nyack Center, the Head Start for a shelter space? Is it just because it's one of the bigger buildings, or was it always designated as a shelter?
That's still in the plan.
Well, I saw that somewhere in terms of, sorry, not somewhere,
It's the inventory of the building.
yeah, inventory of the buildings,
And I
yeah.
flagged that and said, why them?
Yeah.
I said, what, and I thought maybe I took it out. It's just,
Okay.
I was thinking that just because it's one of our buildings. And
Okay,
it's not-
okay.
It's,
Got it.
and it accommodates a lot of people.
Mhm.
That it might be appropriate to talk about it that way, but if it seems inappropriate, then we should not have it in there. Or confusing or something.
No, I actually didn't. It made sense to me just because of classrooms. So like you could kind of, have people in groups a little bit easier to manage, I guess, in an emergency. But then I was also thinking that we still have the Nyack Center, which is kind of big, and other places.
Yeah,
So that's more.
It's sort of like looking at the building and what the potential of the building is, on that list.
Got it. Okay.
And so it doesn't really speak to sort of the larger picture of all the buildings. It could be that way.
Okay. And where are we with the MS4 mapping? I feel like we talked about this a while ago, and I remember you guys talking about the truck and there was some funding attached to it. Are we still in the process of it, or?
We got a grant to pay our village engineers team to complete our MS4 map.
Okay.
Once that's done or reaches a certain level of completeness, we can apply for this grant. Maybe we can get a back truck.
Do you know where we are? Like, how close are we? Or how
Get
far are
back,
we?
yeah. They're active on it this year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Darcy. This is great.
Marcy.
Marcy,
Yeah, right.
sorry. Oh my God.
So what's the plan for the plan? What's the next?
So, I will be waiting for any other, I got some feedback today from stakeholders because we sent a message out to them all reminding them to give their comments before we put it out to the public at the beginning of November, and then at the end of November, it should be all good to go, and it can be adopted. And at that point, you also mentioned that you thought that there should be a resolution about this commitment to have these, regular update meetings, and that would be it.
I think in the adoption resolution, we can think a little bit about if we wanna sort of style that adoption in a particular way.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you do,
You
truly.
and your
Extraordinary
team
work.
and everybody, I mean, this is very thorough and a lot. And thank you so much.
A lot of food for thought here.
Yeah.
This is really thorough.
All right, I think we have time, we can now start the public hearing. So can I get a motion to start the public hearing?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion is now, the hearing is now open, for amending, the Nyack Code 238, to provide an exemption for the leaf blower ban, the gas powered leaf blower ban that was passed a few years ago. It's making an exemption for properties over 10 acres, for certain cleanup periods in the early spring and late fall, on weekdays between 9 and 4, not on weekends, not on holidays. That we talked about at the last meeting, we did not have we had a quorum, but not the full board. So we have the full board today, which is what we wanted to make sure we really had a chance to discuss this. I know there's some public comment. I know that we also have somebody from the cemetery. So let me let because I know Frank's here, Frank Phillips, who's representing the cemetery. If anybody from the cemetery, Frank wants to talk, and then we'll take public comments on this as well.
Thank you.
How much time
Uh,
for the Oak Hill Cemetery? They're not technically an applicant, but obviously,
we'll give them, I'm gonna give public comment 2 minutes, but we'll give it a little bit more leeway for Jim to make a quick presentation of this.
I'll set it for 3 and
Okay.
hear discussion.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the Board of Trustees. My name's Frank Phillips from the law offices of Phillips and Millman. We represent Oak Hill Cemetery. This presentation, as Mr. Michaels indicated, may be a little bit longer than the 3 minutes allocated, but I assure the board that I'll be brief. The reason for the presentation is that our client's property, as you're aware of, which is 50 acres, will be directly affected by this prohibition and the exemption that the board's now taken under consideration. Also present here are also members of the Oak Hill Cemetery Board and the landscaping company, which is Grounds Care LTD for the Oak Hill Cemetery, which is a non-for-profit since 1848. The cemetery's sprawling grounds of 50 acres. Contiguous to the property is the Highview 2 TOO condominiums and also the Time Hotel New York. Which I found amazing, and I didn't know about this until today, that the Oak Hill Cemetery services 25,000 graves in perpetuity, which means as you know, forever for a period of time. So at the present time, over these 50 acres are 25,000 gravestone. And the reason why we're addressing the board tonight, I understand that there were 2 other previous public hearings, is to show that the cemetery is adopting certain procedures to address some of the concerns that were raised not only by the board, by the public in the past to mitigate any impacts. Oak Hill Cemetery is committed to reducing its carbon footprint and mitigation of its operations to do so, and I will give you those examples. I've provided to the board, which Anthony Burgandy from our office, who's here now, associate with our firm, put together a PowerPoint, but without the screen presentation, where I've submitted to you a presentation with certain exhibits and documents, which I'll briefly go over. First and foremost, that the cemetery is concerned about public health and safety. As you're aware that the topography of the land and the size of the land is sprawling hills, some steep hills, and there comes a time during the year, which is this time during the year, that the leaves fall all within a short period of time. The safety concerns of people that visit these gravestones over the weekend, you have over 100+ people visiting, is safety concerns, which are outlined by Louis DeLuise in Exhibit B, which I've attached to you, the previous superintendent regarding safety concerns. There are elderly people that visit the gravestones. It could be a problematic situation if there are some leaves left and they're not removed in a quick fashion, slippery, sliding, and unable to see those things that are obstructed on the ground. So the reason being is that the exemption, because of the battery operated, or if you charge a battery powered blowers will not last long enough to us to service this huge piece of property. What would probably happen is that if they're limited to only battery operated, that you're gonna have more blowers there, and actually the cumulative effect of that noise pollution with using more battery operated blowers is gonna be more than the gas operated blowers, which again, we're restricting it, as the mayor indicated before, to a certain period of time. So actually, we're being more restricted with the gas powered blowers than if we were using operating battery powered. Plus, you also have to take into consideration that these blowers are commercial blowers. It's not like a blower that you're going to use for a piece of property where you have a single family home. It's sprawling 50 acres of property. Right now, the science, and as we're dealing with it, may get better over time, but it's not good enough and efficient for the commercial blowers that are used on this property. In the future, there may be times that they will able to use these battery power blowers if they're improved, but again, the village could, if that occurs, modify the law. So again, that we feel like there was also a suggestion of potentially a hybrid. So taking that concern into consideration, and I'm not an engineer and I don't know about what blowers and the components of blowers, but it was brought to our attention that the cemetery is going to go from 2-stroke blowers to 4-stroke blowers, which will lessen the noise and lessen the noise pollution. The other thing is a misconception that we want to clarify about the gas powered blowers being louder. Exhibit D, which shows the noise comparisons, that the electric blower would be at 73 and the gas at 75. So there's a minimal difference in the amount of noise pollution that's emitted. Also, we draw to your attention Exhibit C, which is a narrative from the landscaper Grounds Care Ltd. About the blowers that will be used and the procedures that will be used. In addition, there was concerns about neighboring property, like I indicated before, Highview 2 condominiums, which is 46 units contiguous to Oak Hill Cemetery. Exhibit A is a affidavit from Sam Geffen, who's the president of that condo association, indicating that he would not have any issue with this exemption that's been set forth by this board for a limited period of time. And finally, just to go over what we have conceded to, and they're willing to work again with the board and the public, is again, reducing it to a 4-stroke blower, limiting the months, as the mayor had indicated, the day and hour for the seasonal needs. We're really talking about the cleanup period, and besides cleaning up, making it safe for those people that are coming there and visiting the graves, which also brings in, after they do visit the graves, business to the town to the village, for the merchants. They'll visit merchants and restaurants and so on and so forth. People come from all over based upon their monitoring the people that come to the cemetery. The 25,000 graves, there's an influx to the cemetery and to Nyack businesses and restaurants, as I indicated, approximately 100 people each day on weekends. And if not safe and unkept, they won't come back. And There's also some community-oriented programs that the cemetery has. There's the Edward Hopper Museum, which his gravestone is at the site. Also, the Historical Society walks, the cemetery works with doing that. And the other notable people that have gravestones there is Helen Hayes and her husband and General Daniel Ullman. So in summary, we respectfully request that the board pass this exemption, which is limited over time. And then there could be, depending upon the progress made with the electrical blowers, maybe something in the future would come about that they wouldn't be necessarily have to use the gas blowers. So,
Thank you, Frank.
all right.
Does anybody have any questions for him while he's up here? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. So in terms of the noise mitigation, we visited, Don and I, we visited the cemetery last Friday. We spoke to the groundskeeper and other people. So we brought up some suggestions for sound mitigation. The four-stroke engine, that's a great advancement in terms of noise and pollution. But there was other things that we talked about. We talked about more mulching. We talked about not grouping the gas leaf blowers 6 at a time in one group, which basically creates a lot of noise, but to divide that into groups of maybe 3 or 2 in different parts of the cemetery. So I haven't heard anything about that. Have you guys considered that?
You could address that, right? Okay, come up. Just state your name for the record. Sure. And your employment address. I think that the efficiency and how to get it done, I think what they're looking at doing is trying to minimize the amount of time and the volume of those blowers, but I'll turn it over to the expert.
Thank you. Louis Kriegel from Grounds Care LTD. We're based in New City, New York. Basically, yes, we did have a discussion on dividing up our work groups on site. And it's a very good point. And it is something that we can definitely utilize. We can it's a daunting task. There's no question about it. But I do believe that we can meet those requirements by using smaller groups within the same, general vicinity, whether it's the front lawn areas or the right side left lawn areas. But I do believe that that's something that we do actively do that currently. It's much more efficient if we can get a larger area taken care of rather than a smaller section with less people. But yes, we're willing to try that. We're willing to implement that. I don't think that there's any issue whatsoever.
What about mulching?
The only thing that we're we do some of that now. Generally speaking, all of our mowing equipment are mulching decks on our equipment. We don't bag anything. The grounds are just too immense to do that. So as we perform our weekly maintenance and our cleanup, the brigade comes in and we start doing that kind of environment where the leaves are falling. The grounds get mowed first, which does, cut up and mulch a lot of the leaves that are there. But there's just such a enormous amount of leaves that occur that it just doesn't become efficient anymore. The machines can't handle mulching a foot thick of leaves and stuff like that. But we generally do that currently. There is one also indication that we've had is most of the trees are oak trees on Oak Hill Cemetery. Mulching those leaves, they're very acidic. They tend to accumulate a lot and are not, it's a little detrimental to the lawn condition. So it just creates a little bit more bare spots, things like that. It's not a general practice to mulch a lot of oak leaves in general. But it's something that we practice that now. And we'll absolutely try to expand on it as much as we possibly can.
The examples of the battery powered mowers that are in your package. I've been looking and there are certainly more powerful currently available battery powered blowers, which give a CFM, the cubic feet per minute, the airflow, which is very similar, not exactly the same as the gas leaf blower that you have. What do you use right now? What electric battery powered leaf blowers do you currently use?
So we use the Husqvarna. I don't remember the exact model.
Is this the one that's pictured in the?
Yeah, it's the one pictured in there.
Okay.
Yes, that was the newest addition to their product line, as far as a commercial, battery powered machine available. As far as I know, and there's, it's a consistent, it's a new adoption as far as the type of machines that are available. They're getting better year after year. These we found would be the most powerful that in comparison to what we use currently, and readily available. Some of the stuff is available on the internet and in magazines and things like that, but they're really not available yet. They're prototypes. There's a lot of testing that's going on. So I feel confident that through my sources, we've been trying to get the best quality that'll help us do the job. Totally.
Anything else, John? I have a question for you. It'd be good for you. When we originally talked about this a few months ago, and we bandied about it internally, we had talked about the legislation being for about 6 weeks, and then we ended up with a draft that was for 8 weeks. And I'm sort of looking at them saying, like, for example, the fall period starts on September 21 and goes through November 21. And it strikes me that September 21 to mid-October, there aren't any leaves to pick up. There's not, Marcy Denker can explain why there's not as many leaves to pick up. We don't have the leaves don't fall, they don't turn until October. So I'm wondering whether or not, as a way of trying to get, we're trying to find an accommodation here, because there's gonna be a number of people that are gonna come up and say that we shouldn't have any kind of exemption at all. That if we narrow the exemption, would you be able to, could we do this starting like early October, 6 weeks starting early October through October and then most of November? Is that sufficient, or do you really need those? The last week of September doesn't seem like there's going to be any very much different situation than July in terms of the leaf cover.
The only thing I could say is that each and every year is different.
Sure.
And we've been their service provider for over 30 years. This year specifically is very different. There's maybe 10%,
this year's very light. Yeah.
very light, and but the trees are full. There's going to be a volume.
It's going to hit.
It's
Yeah.
going to hit, and it has started since once we get 40-degree nights.
Well, I just mean, listen, I've lived here. I've lived here for 40 years of my life, and basically my experience is that the leaves in this part of the region do not start to change color until October, and they don't start to fall until they could start falling then, depending on storm conditions and things like that. But they don't really start until October. So I just don't know whether that end of September is necessary for the purposes that we're trying to do this. Yeah, Frank.
But would it depend upon, and I'm not an environmentalist.
Yeah.
And I'm not an engineer, but wouldn't it depend upon the summer and how the seasons go? Because
I've lived here 40 years. I've never seen an orange leaf in September.
Okay, because
Literally do not see it.
if the leaves are not falling in September, we're not gonna use the blowers because there's no leaves to blow.
Right.
So the point is
We're
that,
not gonna, we wouldn't use it, so even though it gives us the opportunity, if there's no leaves in September, we're gonna go out and just blow the grass. We're gonna wait until the leaves fall down before we blow it.
Yeah.
And it's a limited period of time. We're talking about an enormous piece of property which services in perpetuity these graves, think about it, 50 acres, 25,000 gravestones. The people come to visit their loved ones. And they provide a service to the village of Nyack.
Well, I think we've covered, yeah, we understand, we're big fans of the cemetery, this
Right.
is one of the reasons that we're here, so we're big fans of the cemetery, and we understand the value that they provide on a variety of levels, but what we're trying to do is trying to come up with the, you know, what's, you know, and I think that this is very narrow, but the question is how we want to make it as narrowly tailored as possible, still achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve without hacking up too much the original ban that we had. Yeah.
Question, to Lou, because I'm wondering, this spring might be less leaves that would have to be picked up, because that's just cleanup from what we didn't get in the winter. So maybe something in the spring.
I think my point is more along the lines that, in my experience, and anybody wants to correct me who's lived in the area, my experience is that September is not a leaf falling month.
you're correct.
It just isn't.
You're correct.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can't really, I don't have a good, I don't know, I'm not well attuned to what the cleanup situation is like in March and April. But I kind of know that we do not see leaves on the, we don't see leaves turning and falling in September. We see that in October. And really in recent years, it hasn't been until mid to late October that, you know, to go, you know, if you want to go look at the leaves, you don't do it to now. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I just want to follow up on what Joe said.
Sure.
Do you mind?
That's no, go ahead.
Okay, that, in that period of time, in the September, early October, because there would not be that many leaves on the ground, then you could certainly use your current, battery powered, blowers, correct?
We could,
Okay.
and actually mulching.
And mulching and do whatever. So I kind of agree with Joe about the shortening the period
In the fall.
in the fall,
Yeah.
the
We
6
were
weeks.
just discussing, you know, probably
What
September.
would be the timeframe?
How about
6 weeks starting in early, October.
How about September 28th, we give another week, September 28th to right before Thanksgiving?
All right.
Because that seems like.
All right, I'll tell you what, we'll horse trade, we'll talk.
Yeah, right.
You know, we're not gonna negotiate in public about the dates, but your point's well taken. I understand, you're right that you're not gonna use the blowers as much if there aren't any leaves, so it's sort of but it's a matter of we're trying to get legislation that is in some quarters not particularly popular, and we're trying to get it to be as narrow an imposition on the people who are opposed to this as possible. So you had a question.
So, in I guess in the vein of narrowing it as well, why is it that instead of it saying, you know, the minimum of 10 acres, why don't we just limit it to cemeteries?
I think that I think that there's only one other property that's affected by it,
Right.
and there hasn't been any complaints from the people on that property as we've been discussing this, that of the residents who live
But
there.
that part, so what worries me about that is, to some of the points of everyone who came last week, if it's just the cemetery, then it is a closed loop. We're not opening the door to someone else with a large property also saying, well, hey, I have this property and it's not bothering my neighbors. Let me use my gas.
It's fair. If you want to pursue that line, we can pursue that line. My feeling is that I'd rather not pass a legislation that only affects one person. And that I think that a legislation that is set at an arbitrary but defensible line of 10 acres, I think is more defensible than one that says this only applies to cemeteries, in a way that some people come and say, well, why shouldn't it apply to hospitals? Why shouldn't it applies to cemeteries? It's the same argument. The slippery slope argument can be applied either way, in my opinion. But you're right. It's fair. It's a fair point.
Yeah. No, because I'm like, I understand that, but I think like if there's anything that I also heard is the uniqueness of Oak Hill, where it is the only 50-acre one. And so that's why if it's so narrowly tailored, it doesn't bother me, because it's only one property we're discussing, and it's, you know, I don't want to start opening the door to cemeteries, and is more
Right.
where I'm worried. Whereas it's pretty definitive if you're like, no, just this specific like type.
Okay,
And I have to say that I agree with Pascal. I was one of the people that were totally against I agreed with the noise audience, when we agreed on that, voted on that, but I never took into account the cemetery property, which is huge. So I'm hoping, that we could come to some sort of agreement somehow. I mean, I understand both sides. I mean, the noise is a lot, but if we could kind of figure it out. And like I said, when we agreed on this, and I'll just, just for me, I didn't even think about the cemetery.
Also another question, it just occurred to me, and it might be more a question for Dennis. Are we not able to put in the law like a sunset?
We talked about that,
I wasn't sure.
I just think it's silly because why not just wait till the technology catches up? Because it might be 3 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years,
But if it's in, but the sunset.
And then you could just repeal this, you can change the law anytime you want for any reason that's legislatively, constitutionally appropriate. And to repeal the law or to modify what you would be adopting if you adopt this local law a year from now, 2 years from now, 7 years from now, is no big deal. So to put a sunset provision in on the hope that 3, 4, 5, or 7, or 6, 8, 10, I don't wanna always favor odd numbers, that the technology is gonna advance, why guess at it? Just wait till it comes around and then change it then.
No, I mean-
the answer, Pascal, the answer to your question is yes, we could do that.
Okay, no, that I understood, and just to say, I'm also not just thinking in
We
terms
could
of
do it. I don't think
technology.
it's wise, but we could do it.
It's unwise, it's needless, it's
but-
needless.
I'm also not to your point, I understand that, I guess I'm not only just thinking about technology improving, I'm also thinking about if the state starts providing rebates. In terms of commercial rebates to commercial companies,
We're a nonprofit, so I don't know how that would apply.
Well, purchase.
no, it's a purchase
You
rebate.
can amend the
Yeah.
code for that reason or for any other reason,
Okay.
that's again.
Listen, the reason to put a date on it, Joe's been the one that suggested that, and
The rest of the public comment.
we're gonna take public comment, yes. We're not making a decision, we're talking about it.
No.
We'll give people a chance to weigh in the public.
Yeah, no,
We're questioning them. We've not been giving them free rein to opine on this. We've been asking them questions to try to narrow them down. To go to your, I mean, the argument's been made to do it for 3 years. I am always leery about doing a sunset in the legislation simply because it just pushes an obligation to a future board that they have to now go through a public hearing again to then renew the legislation. But I mean, I think, listen, I've said before, I think this is a good narrow exemption, something that we should consider.
Mhm.
But I'm willing to add provisions that narrow it further if that will mean the difference between getting it passed and not getting it passed. So if a 3 year, sunset is something that will make a difference between some people voting for and not voting for it, then I would consider it. But the point has been made and it's been well taken. I think we should
Yeah,
take some
that's.
public comment and we'll give you a chance to sit down. I think we've kind of talked, guys, anybody else? There's a sunset, there's the dates.
Talking it through to make a decision, I'm talking it through so that everyone can also hear sort of where we are on the pros and cons of things and what works versus what doesn't, that's all.
Oh.
Yeah, which is that?
Oh, no, Joe,
What's the size of, Eddie? How large is, Warren Hills?
Hey, can you hear me? Am I on the thing?
1 second. Joe asked me.
14.7 acres.
How much?
14.7.
14.7, okay.
My name's Barbara Coig. I live in Nyack. You asked us to come back with a little research about cemeteries that use electric leaf blowers. And I'm coming back to you with the Greenwood Cemetery, 478 acres in Brooklyn, New York, with 500,000 headstones and you can do the multiplication about visitors, plus they have huge arts and historical and architectural programs in that. So I think they have proportion to graves, much more foot traffic. They use electric leaf blowers, battery powered, and
there's a misapprehension that they are not powerful enough. You read on the internet that there were ones that were close. Those ones exist and they are being used at the Greenwood Cemetery. State of California banned gas powered leaf blowers from being sold in the state 2 years ago. The city of Los Angeles handles all their parks with battery powered leaf blowers. When the battery dies, you take it out and you put a new battery in and you put the other one in the charger and it's charged within the hour. More locally, Montclair and Maplewood have banned gas powered leaf blowers and they use battery powered electric ones in all their parks ranging from 4 acres to 157 acres. And coincidentally, and for everybody's benefit, on October 29th, next Tuesday, they're holding a symposium for other villages and towns to see the secrets of their success. An evening and conversation about our life-changing public health legislation, why and how we did it, what it's like, why your town deserves the same. Learn from municipal leadership, advocates, health experts, land care professionals, and people just like you whose lives are safer and healthier because of an ordinance that puts public health first every month of the year. And then the other thing, so I have all these things for you to look at. This is just the first page talks about the leaf blowers, but this is a really interesting article for you guys at the cemetery about how you can move into a greener future. But this is being done. It's being done in New York State on properties that are much larger than Nyack's cemetery. And the other thing I wanted to say about the sound of the battery powers, I had that up last time and I didn't give you that piece of paper, but battery powered is around 73 or 75 and gas is 95 on average. They may have a low one, a low powered, like one you might use in your own home, comparable to the leaf blower they showed you, which is not industrial size, but industrial ones are around 95. And my husband may help me with this, but going up one number is the equivalent of going up 10 times the amount of sound. So it's not like it's 25% louder. It's like 100 times.
It's louder.
Whereas so an electric one would be the sound of a vacuum cleaner versus that horrible cacophonous noise that we have thankfully had reduced in the village. And I have to say, the quality of life at our home is so much better. And I really wish that for the rest of the village. Thank you.
Thank you for your research.
You wanna give,
Are these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give
the,
I'm gonna give them the one about the secrets of our success.
Yes.
Speak from this chair, the microphone.
Oh, anyway.
I don't-
here.
Either way.
I want to see this.
You might be interested.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, article says you transition, it's time to buy it.
Oh, this is yours.
Hi, good evening, John Romano, First Avenue. The first thing is that the technology does exist. I mean, it does. I don't know where the idea comes from that the technology doesn't exist. But the technology exists now. And there are cemeteries and communities all across the country that are using it, including right here in New York. As has been pointed out, Greenwood Cemetery. I contacted the director of horticulture, Joseph Chirad, at Greenwood Cemetery and found out that they acquired electric leaf blowers in part using a New York State DEC environmental justice grant because the pollution and the noise is an environmental justice issue. And it's no different in Brooklyn than it is here. You've got a cemetery next to a hospital, next to low income housing. They can do this. Their landscaping firm is called Brightview. It's a national landscaping firm, and they've found the technology. It exists, as Joe pointed out. there are electric leaf blowers that are just nearly as powerful as gas leaf blowers. I would suggest to you that maybe you need to find a different landscaper. If your landscaper is not, doesn't have the curiosity or doesn't want to move into the 21st century and help our community, maybe you need to find a different landscaper because the technology does exist. We are residents of the village that you represent, and I hope that you will not compromise on this. Why would we compromise on health and welfare when it's just maybe a little inconvenient for them for a couple of years? They can, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen sooner or later. 10 years ago, we started trying to get this leaf blower ordinance, and we didn't get it, until like 5 years later. But I wonder how much carbon we could have saved from being emitted. And it's why not? Why would you do this? I just don't know why you can't ask these people to compromise instead of asking us to compromise. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Let's see.
Hello, Henry Rand, live at 5 Rockland Place in Nyack. I did a little research myself and I very easily found out that commercial leaf blowers are available that are battery powered. In fact, some of them were on sale for $400 off from Steel. So this technology is out there. Joe did some wonderful research. There's really no reason to move forward with this point. And I really ask the board to strongly consider the new evidence that you have and just retain what we have at this point. And I encourage the landscaper, if you go this way and you keep the job, you're going to be more competitive for all those small properties around Nyack, where you're going to need this equipment in order to do the business. So it's really in everyone's interest to move that way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Riso. I just wanted to dispute a couple of things. It is readily available. The technology is available now. I looked up on the internet, there's a very reputable company, Steel, STHL, something like that. They're very, very reputable in construction. And they have a slew of electric leaf blowers of all different shapes and sizes, and they advertise them for large commercial properties. So that argument is moot. The technology is here now. And a couple of other quick things. One, last time we were here, somebody brought up diversity in Nyack Village and how important it is, and I agree with that. And I happen to live next to some housing projects. The people there have begged me, please tell them to get rid of the leaf blowers. Please help us. And I'm talking about Sickles Ave, the projects there. They're my neighbors. We know them for years. They're old.
Apartments, Rockland Garden.
I don't know the name. Yeah. They're old people. They're old. They don't have the stamina to drag themselves to these meetings. They beg me, please talk to the village, because when those leaf blowers go to their projects, they are right outside their windows. They drive them nuts.
I'm just going to tell you, projects is a term that is a little antiquated and tends to have some negative associations.
See, I don't have.
I know you don't mean any offense. I'm just telling you, you might want to avoid the word.
Housing?
It's community housing, or it's low income housing, however you describe it. I think it's private housing. Yeah,
Those are not low income housing at all.
that's not even a community part. No, it's just an apartment. It's a market apartment.
Market.
They do go according to your salary. You're right. It does go according to salary and to.
No, she's talking about 97 Sickles. Yeah, not Rockland Gardens.
I think I am talking about Rockland Gardens.
All right, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're taking your point I understand your point.
I mean,
I know you didn't mean any offensive. I'm just saying why they keep correcting you is why I want to make clear for you.
So we've been friends with them for years. And they beg me, please go to the village and tell them we don't want these things. they're horrible to them. They're right outside the windows and they're old. And yes, a lot of them are paying lower rent,
No.
so they don't feel they are entitled to open their mouths. But I'm opening my mouth on their behalf, okay? They don't, they're old and they feel, I don't wanna rock a boat, my rent's low. I'll rock the boat for them, and I told them I would, and I am. And the last point I wanna make is that some of the people on this board, when they ran, they promised us they would do everything they can to have a leaf blower ban. And that's why I voted for them, and that's why a lot of people voted for them. And I just want to feel that I could, in this world with all this garbage going on and all this corruption, I want to feel that when somebody gives me their word in local government, that they're going to keep their word. And they're not going to say, well, gee, I got her vote and now I could change it. Please don't. I voted for you. I voted for you because you gave me your word. You were gonna support a leaf blower ban. And it would really make me feel better, as well as a whole bunch of other people, if you had some integrity to stick with that promise. Thank you.
Let's hear from the opponents before, and I'll let you have the opportunity to come back up.
My name is Camille Barone. I live on Front Street, which is really very close to the cemetery. I was here last time voicing how much against this I am for my own personal reasons, but then I thought about all the other people that are working from home now that, that this leaf blower noise became much more apparent to them when COVID came, because then a lot of people worked from home. And then I heard from people that never complained about it before that, oh my God, you're right, this is terrible. So that's how I think we came about with getting this ban passed. Now, a ban is a ban. If you're gonna do an exemption, I guarantee you, there are gonna be other people that are gonna start using that. And who is going to stand up and say, is it gonna be me again who's gonna be blowed on? Okay, is it gonna be me that's gonna go to the cemetery and was chased out by the caretaker there? Get out, get off my property. Okay, and then they proceeded to continue to blow up top later on in the day. And I drove my car up there and then I was being followed. So I would like to know when you do pass this ban, because I have a very strong feeling that it's going to pass regardless of all the people against it and all the legitimate reasons that we have, and the common sense that we are bringing forth, and the technology is here. I do not know why it would not, you would go against and go backwards. Okay, it makes no sense to me. I am going to be inundated 5 days a week when they used to only do it like 2 days a week, Saturday. I've lived there for many years. They would do it only 2 days, like on a Saturday, all day long. Now I don't know if they're gonna come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They could come every single day for 2 whole months, and I have to live with it. And none of you live near there. None of you. So of course you don't mind. Please don't renege on this.
Hi, thank you. I'm Lori Donald. I also live on Front Street. I thank everybody for bringing really good examples to you guys, just to show, reinforce the facts, which are about the technology. Don't have to, I'm just gonna kind of make a couple of, like a closing statement and an appeal to continue with the ban. And so, here I am. So I'm here tonight to keep the existing gas-powered leaf blower ban fully in place without exceptions or rollbacks. The policy was adopted for good reason, to protect our health, our peace, and the environment we all share. Since it took effect, our neighborhoods have become noticeably cleaner, quieter, and more livable. Weakening it now would undo those hard-won gains and send the message that short-term convenience outweighs the community's well-being. Gas-powered blowers are not just noisy, they're genuinely harmful. A single hour of use produces as much strong smog forming pollution as driving a car more than 1,000 miles. The noise regularly exceeds 90 decibels, loud enough to damage hearing and disrupt daily life for anyone nearby. Adding exceptions would make the rule nearly impossible to enforce and unfair to the residents and landscapers who have already invested in cleaner, quieter electric equipment. The technology exists, it's affordable, and it works. Many communities have made the same transition successfully, and ours should continue to lead and not backslide. Please stand by the decision that reflects our community's values, health, fairness, and environmental responsibility. The ban is working and it deserves to stay strong. Thank you for listening and for your continued commitment to protecting our quality of life in our wonderful town.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Should I sign this?
Okay.
No, I think you're in the record.
Yeah.
You're fine. Is there anybody else who's done? Okay, come on up. That's fine.
Okay. Just a couple of points to reiterate. Technology exists. However, maybe for the noise, the power and the lift of the snow of the blowers does not,
Speak closer to the mic.
sorry, it doesn't eliminate or it doesn't eliminate the leaks. I know that we talked at our meeting and we tested it. And we want to be a good neighbor. We've been in good faith with the village for, these last 4 months. We thank you for visiting us. We know we have some work to do on investigating greener ways. I'm not sure if Greenwood, was able to, we looked it up, it's beautiful. But I don't think they were able to do all this in a year. We need some time. We are not against what you're saying, but we do need a little bit of time to get there. And what we're asking for is just peak seasons, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, peak season. For as long as we can until we've gotten to green. We take pride in our cemetery. We take pride in our community, the community that we're in, Nyack. It's a wonderful place. And we do wonderful things here. But we just don't have the time right now to be where we want to be. We don't. So what we're asking is for an exception in order to get us to that place. I mean, thank you.
And just to piggyback on that a little bit, I did, while I was here, looked on the internet and looked in the Greenwood site. They did roll in over a period of time, electrical vehicles and electrical equipment. It didn't say anywhere in there that it's all electrical, but there was a situation where it was over a course of time. In fact, even at that particular cemetery, there's a crematory right now with smokestacks. That I'm not criticizing them, but again, that there's a crematory there and they're trying to get rid of that and they're doing it on a rolling basis. So to piggyback on what she said, it's not something that can happen overnight. And they're trying to right now minimize and mitigate as much as we possibly can. And then when the technology comes around, we will deal with it.
Thank you, Frank. I just wanted, we try to give everybody an opportunity. All right, comments from the Board of Trustees. What are the thoughts?
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead, so, I was one of the proponents, and I still am, of the, gas leaf blower ban. But as with everything, you need to be able to, look at specific locations and circumstances and determine whether or not it is working for them. agree with Pascal that we should perhaps consider the cemetery as a specific property. I know that we talked about 10 acres. You know, Warren Hills, which is 14 acres. I don't know what the situation there is, but the cemetery is very unique in terms that it's a 50-acre treed location. There are a lot of visitors, a lot of activity there. And for me, I look at it as a safety issue. That's number one. Number two is we're trying to narrow the time period that it's allowed. I agree, 6 weeks in the fall, Joe, I think that's sufficient amount of time. If before that, they could use their battery powered leaf blowers. But I also think we can shorten the time in the spring cleanup. They don't need 2 months, 6 weeks. I would narrow it down to 3 weeks in the spring.
3 weeks is pretty, there's a lot of work in the spring for the cleanup. I don't know if 3 weeks would be.
4 weeks. I mean, I'm willing to compromise on that. With regard to the sunset provisions.
Come on.
What did you say?
These people, it's like,
Don't pay attention to them.
I just, well, show everybody respect. They should show us respect.
Well, she should have listened to what I'm gonna say right now. I am 100% in favor of a sunset after 3 years. This will give the time to the cemetery to explore better technology and better methods. And the reason why I want a sunset is that there's an end date. That by that time, that period of time, they have to do something in order to get rid of their gas leak liquids. And in addition to that, I want to make sure that there's increased enforcement in all the other parts of the village. I don't want this to be a reason for somebody in Rockland Gardens or wherever. They, well, those guys are using gas leak blowers. We're going to use it also. No, we have to double down on enforcement.
Yeah. Anybody else want to just weigh in? So Joe talked about a 3-year sunset, narrowing it 6 weeks in the fall and somewhat. Huh?
I put 3 to 6 weeks in the spring just because I wasn't sure where he was.
Yeah, he suggested 3, and then I had a reaction to that. He 3 to 6 weeks in the spring. The problem is the spring is when there's a lot of heavy stuff that has to be cleaned up because it's all wet and gross. And 3-year sunset and increased enforcement, which wouldn't be in the legislation, but would be something that we would pass this with the expectation of Andy that we'd have some attention to it. Was there anything else that I missed? Oh, and also you want to limit it to the
Only cemetery.
the only cemetery.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody has a thoughts, anything additional? What are their thoughts on the legislation as well as the thoughts on the limitations that Joe is suggesting?
I mean, I agree with Joe's limitations. I think 6 weeks in the fall is more than enough. I think, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks in the spring, whatever. I get that the spring might be a little bit more cleanup, but I'm willing to deal with the fact that we should narrow it. So I'm only saying either we keep it parity 6 and 6, or we drop it to 6 and 5. That's just my thoughts. But I'm not wedded to any of that, so I kind of defer to you guys. I'm okay with the 3-year sunset. Dennis, I get that you think it's redundant, but we do it all the time on the state ledge, and it is there for a reason. It's for a reassess and a reevaluate. That's why they have them, to see if the law is even necessary anymore. And I do agree, only cemeteries. I get the uniqueness of our cemetery. It is the largest property that we have. But even with all of this narrowness, I still feel very torn. I do live up there as well. I do live on 6th Ave, in Haven. Granted, I'm sure my own building violates this gas-powered law because I'm pretty sure I smell gasoline when they're blowing leaves. But I also get that it's pretty dangerous because in front of my own apartment, there's a pine tree. When those pines fall, you can slip and fall and hurt yourself, and I've almost fallen as well. So I do recognize that there is a hazard to people who are visiting the cemetery. And like I said, that's sort of why I think there should be a sunset. If the rebate comes through, God willing, in the time where things are really economically stressed, that would be great. Because then you do have an economic advantage that makes this redundant. If technology improves, it also helps make this redundant. But I guess it would be nice. I recognize that you do have a plan to go green. I guess in a good faith effort, it might be nice to see that plan. Maybe it's something that the community can be invited to, similar to when the mausoleum opened. I don't know. We can talk about that. So yeah, I mean, I agree with your changes, Joe.
And I just wanted to make a point, if you give me the.
No, go ahead. I'm
I
done.
think the cemetery needs to commit to looking at new technology, better methods, more noise mitigation plans. I think that would be very helpful. And not just verbally, but to send the village a letter or the intention of what we want, because this is certainly not a popular decision that the village board is gonna make, right? But I do it grudgingly and a lot of soul searching on this. But I think that we need both the village and also the cemetery to make that commitment. And you have 3 years, or you will have, if we do decide it's a sunset, you have 3 years. Because I don't think that we'll have the appetite to renew it. I don't think at this point in time. I mean, could be wrong.
Okay. So it would be in our favor if for some reason in 3 years, the equipment is not there yet, which.
Well, you come before the board again and ask.
It's there now.
It's in our favor to continue to look for other avenues, than gas power.
I will take public comment, but let's, yeah.
Say compromise that's made with these people, which I think would be let them slip for this year. Make them attend that thing in Maplewood so they can speak to landscapers.
You can buy some electric blowers now. I mean, they exist now.
And not the ones they buy at Ace Hardware. We buy the ones that they use in Maplewood.
All right, I think we understand that there is a divergence of opinion about the ability of these gas powered leaf blowers to cover this.
Wait, and just to clarify, are you gonna
Divergence of opinion.
hold on, Barbara, just to clarify, are you planning on stopping using your electric leaf blowers during this period?
No.
Okay. Similar to Greenwood, they do use mix. They use both gas and electric with the hope to transition off of gas. That I did read the article.
All right.
Montclair and Maplewood use nothing in their parks, including 153 acre park. This is just, these things, I looked online where they showed one of these things digging a hole in the ground with the air. So I just think it is, but let me just say that part of the compromise should be that they go to Maplewood and go to this thing and learn.
Well, we're not gonna put that in the legislation, but we certainly will.
I do want to ask that. That was one of my questions. Are you willing to at least see what has been brought to us about, the leaf blowers, this, that's happening on the 29th? Because we have to feel like this is really tough. We have to feel like we're working with the community, the people, this is a big thing. And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I'm just, I'm on the fence because I understand the importance for the cemetery, the safety, people's loved ones being there, but also the community that had to deal with all the noise and the smelling of the gas during COVID, or just people that work from home. So being that someone, thank you, Barbara, obviously has put some work and research into it, not saying that you haven't, but if you could at least go to this and see if there's something that could be learned from it and just be part of like being on the page of trying to make this work between the community
For some
and
reason that date doesn't work for us, we will look into another event where we can go and see.
okay.
I'm okay with that. I do wanna also, cause there's, I guess, the other real issue of the folks who are on Front Street. Folks on Front Street have been dealing with a lot between the hospital and what's been going on with the cemetery. So I'm just wondering if, some of the few people who like, if there's a way to take some time to go to those neighbors and just sort of talk to them, make sure that their concerns are being addressed in terms of noise and when they're hearing it. I mean, that I know it's still a little difficult. I say that because I know that those folks on that area are closest to you. They have been through a lot in terms of, like I said, there's ongoing traffic. I don't know if it's even something like that or if it's similar to what we do with hospital parking, where periodically we will come together here at Village Hall just to talk with folks in that area. I'm wondering if that's worth also arranging, just like I said, as an effort of good faith, to show, like, we get that this is a complicated issue, but I do want them to feel like they do have an avenue, or at least a place, like, if there are things that do come up, they can get to you guys.
And I think that, perhaps if there was some way it could be mitigated through the village or something, yes.
So I can't hear what you're saying.
If there was some way it could be mitigated through the village, because a conversation, we would be happy to do it. But I think, like, at this point in time, it might be too soon for them. Because I think that, I know they feel strongly about it, and like I said, we are in good faith. We wanna be there, we would love nothing more.
All right, we got it. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask you a question in picking up what Pascal said. And I think we touched upon this at some point when Don and I came and visited. Are you going to be using the gas leaf blowers every day of the 5 weeks? Or are you going to say, let's say on a Thursday and Friday or 2 days? Because it would help that there would be a schedule.
I know.
If possible. I'm just asking so that people can be aware of that.
Hard to give a schedule based on the weather, but
Sure.
our normal, if weather is good, we explain that our normal days are Thursday and Friday. Yeah, so.
On weekends. Right.
No,
Not on weekends. They can't do it on
no
weekends.
weekends, no holidays.
So,
Correct.
Well, they can use electric.
We can use them.
They can use the electric on those days, yeah.
Okay, no, when it has the times out, it does say like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays, and am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, that's for battery, that's for battery.
You gotta look at section
Oh,
3.
operation, okay, sorry, I missed that part, okay.
so, yeah, that's our normal schedule,
I think also you gotta remember they don't do it when it's raining, so it's
Of course.
sometimes it's determined by the weather conditions themselves.
But I do understand what you're saying. Somebody that was here, they were saying that they didn't know what days. It seemed like every day, so some schedule would be great.
The thing is, like I said, I can't commit to a schedule because of the weather.
Of course.
Our normal days are Thursday and Friday. Maybe it seems like every day, I don't know,
Someone was saying
Well,
that, but
that's-
if it's just 2
yeah.
days.
I don't think she was referring to the
Right.
cemetery. I think she was referring to the building, in some ways, because she was going back and forth a little bit.
I don't know,
but-
on Mondays, it's mad noisy, so.
All right, yes, John, but quick, please.
It's a quick question about the logic of this legislation, and that is that on any given day, any landscaper in the village is working on the same amount of acreage, but just in different parts of the village. So I don't understand why.
You're saying cumulatively.
Cumulatively, yes. So in fact, you're putting residents at a disadvantage and giving these people who run a $1.5 million surplus every year an advantage, whereas.
I think there's a difference between lifting 1,000 pounds and lifting 1 pound 1,000 times.
Well, it's the same amount of, it's just over the.
I know, but like they're doing quarter acre lots, they're doing eighth of an acre lots. It's not the same. It's not the same. And they're not in a hilly environment, most of them, some of them are.
And to Joe Carlin's point, I mean, the point of that is to step up enforcement so that we are getting the worst offenders. I know we fined a bunch of people last year for doing, just as you said, using gas powered leaf blowers. So we do want to step up enforcement, so that way we're
We
not
would have
getting so
to.
many people who are offending.
Legislation should probably strike that the technology does not exist because it exists. And it's clear other people are using it and this.
Yes, I think we've made the point. There are places that are doing this. There are places that are not. There are, well, I think.
Places that are willing to do it and places that are not.
Understood. All right.
It's not about the technology.
Okay,
But this will give them time to, this will, Barbara, this will, with the sunset provision, this will give them the time to adapt, to purchase new equipment, to change their method. And I take them at their word that they want to do that. But after 3 years, then we revert back to the original.
It's technology, because we know it exists now, and in 3 years, they'll tell you the technology doesn't exist.
Your point's been made. We understand. We understand. Yes, we understand. And there's still, listen, here's where I come down on this, personally, is that I believe in institutions. I like to trust institutions. I think that we've got a cemetery that's been here for 175 years or something like that. I don't think that they're blowing smoke at us to say that this puts in a burden on them. I have heard the people that have come the last 2 meetings to talk about this. And we've taken into consideration because we've narrowed this. I mean, Orangetown doesn't have one. Orangetown doesn't ban gas powered leaf blowers, which means that if you cross Cedar Hill,
You're right.
there's gas powered leaf blowers.
No.
Upper Nyack has a ban, but the ban doesn't apply from September 15th to December 15th or March 15th to May 15th. So they've got 3 months in the
Yeah.
fall and 2 months in the spring where they exempt it. And so if you cross Tallman, you're now in a place where there's leaf blowers. So, you know, we're getting, you know, no one's showing up at the Orangetown Town Board to argue for a gas powered leaf blower ban. They're showing up here to say that our narrow exemption, which applies for 6 to 8 weeks in 2 times of the year for 2 parcels right now, in the village, that we're betraying the
Yeah.
thing. Listen, this didn't exist until 2 years ago. This board passed it. It took a long time for people were pushing for it for a long time. This board passed it. I thought it was the right decision. I still think it's the right decision, but I do believe that you have to. There's my approach to government is a little bit of moderation, a little bit of compromise, that we should be cognizant of the impacts of all or nothing bright line rules and be able to adapt to them in the situations where it needs to be adapted. Now, if we make changes in this, Dennis, we can't pass it today. The changes are too substantial. If we put a sunset,
Right.
if we change the dates.
The dates is simple enough, like, we could do that on the fly, and I'd be okay with adopting it with those
Okay.
changes, but the sunset provision is gonna need a little language drafting. It's not complicated, but I can't do it on the fly.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Can we stipulate to it, Dennis, and just have it part of the legislation?
No, because.
Well, what they want to know is,
They're gonna move on something that has to have specific legal language, and I'm not going to do that.
Do we need to?
Because the problem is that we need to clean up.
well, that's what I'm saying.
I
We would need to
understand.
continue the public
We
hearing while you
drafted
change.
this,
Yeah.
like immediately when your client came, the first time, presenting this, like in a more, in a formal manner. Legislation was presented to the board almost immediately, and we've
Yeah.
been moving as expeditiously as possible, but I cannot orally give you a sunset provision here in
Okay.
language that I'd be.
Got
comfortable
it,
with,
understood,
Filing it to Secretary of State.
understood. All right, here's my suggestion. You say we can make the changes on the dates. That would not be so substantial as requiring a new public hearing,
It would not, none of this would require a new public hearing.
because that's what we ran up in the cannabis thing, that we made a substantial enough change. Okay.
You know,
All
modifying,
right, so it's only the sunset that you think you need to have specific language that you wouldn't wanna,
do it on the
you
fly.
wanna do on the fly. Okay. So
Dates are simple enough, just give them.
I would-
So I can.
here's what I would suggest. I would suggest leaving it, my kind of amendment to the compromise position would be to leave it at 10 acres, because I think if we change from 10 acres to a cemetery, that's a substantial enough change that we wouldn't be able to pass it tonight.
Any other?
I would change it to 6 weeks in the fall, starting October, whatever 6 weeks. Someone give me the dates. Someone look at a calendar and give me a date from 6 weeks back from November 20. We definitely want it to be over before Thanksgiving.
Prediction.
Yeah, 6 weeks back from November 20, November 20.
November 21st.
Is it November 21st? Okay, whatever's in this
I think it's
statute.
October 3rd.
Okay.
October 3rd? All right, so
I actually think it's October 10th.
Like that eight, nine, yeah,
How about
nine.
October?
I think it's-
October
that
1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
October 1st
It's
to
gotta be
November 21st? And then what about the spring? I mean,
That's actually 7 weeks,
It's
so.
the ninth,
let's do it
let's do
that-
October 8th. We'll do October 8th. But I'd like to do 6 weeks in the spring also. I like to just
Keep it
be,
consistent.
I like to be consistent with it, which means that leaves,
Was it March?
do you need, is mid-March better or mid-May? First 2 weeks of May or last 2 weeks of March, which ones do you want?
I would prefer probably after March.
So
Yeah.
April 1 to May 15th.
Yeah, we could have snow on the ground by.
Yeah.
March.
Yeah, you still have, April, yeah,
Okay.
still have some. All right, so April 1 to May 15. All right, so my suggestion is that we change the dates to October 8th to November 21, April 1 to May 15th. That, and that we leave, everything else the same. So that's the only the only changes are those dates in terms of the current legislation in front of us.
And I'll.
Oh, well, hold on.
Expire December 31st of 2028.
Well, but you don't want to write that language now. I'd like to pass legislation
I'll tell you
tonight.
why, because there's some other tweakings that are done as part of this local law, so it would be simple enough to say what you're adopting tonight will be repealed automatically as of December 31, 2028. But there's other things that we're tweaking in the local law. I couldn't go through it now.
Okay, you made a point. You
Yeah.
can't do the sunset provision today. Here's my suggestion. And the other point is I would keep it at 10 acres. For one thing, I'm not, as a matter of hygiene, I don't like having a law that applies to just one parcel. I would like it to apply in a generic way to parcels over, even though there's only 2 parcels that qualify. I also, and I wouldn't want, if we made that change, we wouldn't be able to get anything done tonight on it. My suggestion was that we leave everything the same. The only other changes you made is if I'm missing anything, but I understood the changes were the dates, the sunset, and you had suggested switching to the cemetery, which I'm saying if we can give that up, I would get, we do the dates, we just do the dates, we just change the dates. We pass it today with the understanding that there's gonna be an amendment. We'll call a public hearing now for our next meeting for adding a 3-year sunset on it.
Hold on 1 second.
We separate the sunset. We can separate the sunset from the rest of the
Adopt the
legislation.
local law tonight, just with the change of the dates.
Yes, and then we're gonna instruct you we'll set up a public hearing
And
for,
amend it again.
To amend it.
Sunset provision?
to amend the sunset provision.
Sure.
Can I just ask, why is it such a substantial change to add and shall expire and be deemed repealed 3 years after such date?
Because, I didn't want to go into the details here.
Okay.
Whenever I amend the code, I'll let you in on a little secret. I see grammatical errors, I see substantive issues that don't change the intent of the law. It's just poorly drafted and I clean it up. So I've done some cleaning up here just to clarify, I think, like defining what. Again, I'd have to look at the code provision that's in our code now and look at what's here. But there's other things that are part of this local law that you'll be adopting tonight that you don't want to repeal automatically.
Oh,
10 years from now, because they're good things that I know that you all want unanimously. Again, it's just clarifications, bolstering language that was a little bit vague or ambiguous that didn't meet the intent of what the code provision. That's currently
No,
there.
I know what you mean. So essentially,
Follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
you-
having
yeah.
said that, when could
So
we?
the sunset provision that I'm going to draft is going to spell out exactly what is going to be automatically repealed 3 years from now, being very specific, that we're automatically repealing
Section
the gas powered leaf blower being allowed, at all. I guess that sounds simple, but I just wanna make sure it's being drafted.
No, that's fine.
So when
I'm sorry.
could
I
we-
shouldn't. I do.
No, it's okay, I'm sorry, I'm
No,
coming across as professorial, but
Okay.
I
No,
get uncomfortable when there's language that I need to give a good second look at.
that's
If you
fair.
do it orally at a meeting, if it isn't simple, like changing dates or things like that, I'd rather have some
That's
time to
to
Dennis, you
digest.
have no argument for me,
Okay.
no worries. I'm so used to it, that's why I'm like, it's not, but I respect that you have to do a better job than I do, so that's fair.
No, we can do the dates, no problem. The acres we can do, if that was gonna be modified, we can do the acres. It's just the sunset provision, I just wanna make sure it's.
No,
done.
that's fine, Dennis,
Can we
no
do,
problem.
can we do
Don't worry.
acreage, in order to allow only the cemetery, let's say 25 acres?
It's still one.
But isn't that still more of a change that would require this to continue?
I don't
If you
know.
change the acreage?
Is anything have a,
I think it's within, because if you read it would not require a new public hearing, or continue. You can adopt a change tonight to the acreage as part of adopting this local law. Because the notice that went out didn't say, here are the intimate details of it.
Okay.
Like, it's just basically, we're gonna amend this code provision to essentially allow gas powered leaf blowers.
so you're saying we could
During
change
certain
the,
times of the
I
year.
understand. So you're saying we could change the acreage without it being
Yeah.
something that we have to have a new public hearing for?
Yeah, the public hearings are
Okay.
for very large
All right.
lot size properties. So by changing it from 10 to 15, it still falls within that public hearing notice of very large lot size
Okay. All right.
properties.
Do I have a general agree, because here's the thing, they don't wanna, it's now October
Yeah.
22nd, so they would like to have this passed so that they can start cleaning.
Mhm.
And I think that's not an unreasonable suggestion, because as quickly as we have moved, you know, these things have taken time, and we've now moved into the season. So my suggestion is we pass the legislation without the sunset. We call a public hearing today for as early as possible to then adopt legislation to add a 3-year sunset to it. And then we pass that, we have a public hearing on that issue, which will not be a particularly long public hearing, and then we do the public hearing at the next meeting, and then we
Sure.
pass the 3 years.
Sure, just FYI, I would implore you to wait until this local law that looks like you're gonna be adopting tonight with these modifications be filed at the Secretary of State before, because it's not effective until it's
legally
filed.
filed.
And we
Okay.
usually, I think we overnight them now, and we get them filed pretty
Okay,
quickly. so-
all right, fair enough, we'll do it when we can do it. You tell us when it's ready to do it. It won't matter, because we got 2.5 years to pass it. But we'll pass it as soon as we can, because we'll make sure people understand that this will have a sunset provision. It's just not in the legislation right now because we couldn't do it, we couldn't add that tonight. And that's my fault, because we did discuss it enough that we should have asked you to have language prepared for that for tonight. That was my fault for not thinking of that and putting that into the agenda. All right.
So having said all that, when will they actually be able to?
I mean, if we pass the legislation, even though it's not officially been planted in the soil of this thing, we can just accept it as being, usually we do that. We don't generally continue to enforce a law that we've passed just because the state hasn't gotten notice of
The
it.
record, what about the
Sorry.
Up the record, yeah.
Right, well, we're on the. We're on it.
Technically, it's not in effect until it's filed with the Secretary of State, but.
Okay.
Yeah, once you, I don't think the code enforcement officers are gonna go out, issuing violations,
Well, I hope not, because.
knowing that the local law was adopted.
Given, I'm okay.
Okay, all right, so within can I get a motion to amend the legislation to change the dates to October 8th to November 21 and April 1 to May 15th?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Okay, so that would be the change that we make. After this, we will then have after we vote on this,
No, nothing with the acreage, we're leaving the acreage.
we're leaving the acreage as it is, and after this, we'll have a vote on a public
Yes.
hearing to do the sunset.
Yes.
All right, so everybody's good with that. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the legislation as amended?
Wait, do we have to, we're not closing the vote. No, we have to close it.
We have to.
Yeah, close the public hearing.
All right, but motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the legislation as amended.
Second.
Yeah.
Oh, I have this first and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Can I get a motion for a public hearing at the next available opportunity at our next meeting? We'll just set the next meeting.
Yeah,
Motion.
instruct me
Well, I just have
draft
to articulate it
amendment
first.
to this
Okay.
local law that
And then
we
you
just
can then
adopted.
go right on it.
To include a 3-year.
When's our next meeting?
Well, no, it can't be this. I would say a month and a half from now.
Has to be December.
Yeah,
Let me get the date. I just want to make sure I have the date.
Oh, election day.
month and a half.
This
we
is
can do
been
it.
adopted. This was adopted.
Early.
What's this?
Just to add a sunset provision.
All right.
She's already announced it.
All right, so I'm gonna set a public hearing for December 11th at the village board meeting to take place at 8 PM here at the village hall. Don't have to add anything else to this. And the purpose of the public hearing will be to add a sunset date of December 31st, 2028 to terminate to sunset the legislation that we
Gas
passed
powered
today.
leaf blower.
Exemption, the exemption, not the ban. We're not sunsetting the ban, we're sunsetting the exemption to the ban. All right, can I get, so I'm suggesting that public hearing. Can I get a motion for that public hearing?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's now passed as well. All right, so that's.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
We'll work on this moving forward.
See you in 3 years.
Yes. Only before that. I wanna see this before the.
We want a letter.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Seriously, you need to send us, the village board, a letter.
I'll give you all these.
Hands on and what the intentions are.
Just call your cell phone.
Yeah, I'll address.
Okay, something that,
I know, that's true. I'll
For the
just
record.
call you, because I'm not gonna speak on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't CC.
Thank you for the warning. Thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
Yeah. Thank you, safe home.
All right, going back to our agenda. We are now up to item number 6 at 9:30. But let me get this guy up. Yeah, can we skip over to resolution? And I really should have done it because I knew he was here and I should have thought about it before we got into the public hearing.
Yeah, I won't.
No. This is action item 7.4, resolution 25-185. Can I get that on the table?
Motion, second.
This is a motion to approve, all in favor? Oh, no, we just a motion second. I don't have all in favor. I don't have all in favor of putting it on the table. This is legislation to approve a permit application from Sunrun Installation Services to get a peddling license. This is Michael?
Yeah, Michael Pittner, how you doing?
Michael, just to let you know, Michael met with Andy and I earlier this week to talk about what they do because I'm leery of giving people peddling licenses in the village because we don't want to authorize people to be going door to door, which is what they would be allowed to do lightly. We did talk to him about the program. We thought the way the program is being presented is it's appropriate, and I think it's something that people should really be interested in. I think it's something I'm interested in now to do for my home if I can qualify. And I'll give you 2 minutes to explain just the general contours of the program so they know it.
Yep.
And they know what they're kind of approving.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm on the zoning board in my town, so I've sat through till midnight. Yeah.
You did this on your day off? That's crazy.
Oh, no, I work 24/7.
Well, I meant on your day off of the zoning board.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, our office is right over in Elmsford. Basically, you can kind of see my personality. I'm super non-threatening person. I had a nice conversation with these gentlemen a couple days ago. But yeah, the long and the short of it is, we're the largest solar installer in the United States for residential only, not commercial. We have a very low key pitch, if you want to call it that. We inform, it's informing homeowners about the state fund program. I thought that conversation with who was the woman earlier with the environmental.
Marcy.
Marcy, yeah, that honestly aligned like really well with what we do. Because we do have funding behind home improvements for roofs, heat pumps. I have heat pumps on my own home. I have solar all on my home up in DeSoto. It's about an hour from here. But yeah, the long and short of it is there's a state program where Sunrun comes in, funds the solar program. The homeowner gets a lower electric rate and also a $5,000 state tax credit. This is literally how I present it to the homeowner. If somebody doesn't want to talk to me, I'm like, hey, that's totally cool. That's my car over there. I'm just a person providing information. So
tell us a little bit about the essence of the program. Is a lease that people make where essentially what you do is you install the equipment. You look at their bill and then you set a price.
Oh, I know.
You set a price and that's the fixed price with the yearly incremental escalator that the homeowner has to pay you for their electrical needs. They do not at that point then have to pay the electric company anymore. They pay you. Correct. And the idea is that you've calibrated their price according to what you think what you estimate you're gonna be able to get as a yield of the electric power coming through the solar array that you've put onto the roof. And that as long as people continue to have the same general usage of the wattage, it doesn't matter what happens to utility rates. As long as you maintain the same general amount of usage, you don't open up a Bitcoin mining in your basement or something like that, that your payment will pretty much be what the payment is. And if you actually use less, you can actually store credits, which could be used in any case where you did run over. Correct, basically correct.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, so it's what it does is it fixes your cost for 25 years with an escalator on a monthly basis, fixes your utility costs at that rate. And then if the equipment breaks, they fix it. If you break it yourself, then you probably have to pay for it. But if it breaks on its own, they fix it. It's their interest for it to be as efficient as possible because they're the ones who get the yield of if you generate more power than is being used, they get to sell that excess power. You don't sell the excess power, they sell the excess power, but your costs are fixed. I think it's a reasonable, it doesn't, a lot of the solar installation companies that relied on you buying the stuff or leasing the equipment over time, that's not what this lease is. The lease is not really a lease of the equipment, it's a lease that fixes your payments. I thought that it was a reasonable thing. I didn't think it was a scam, which is what I was making sure about when we met with them. And so I'd like to give them that license, and I think that they will be.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, good. I was just saying, I think they'll be
So
responsible.
it's just for single family homes, it's not for condominiums?
Correct, yeah, it's single family or,
Multi-family.
yeah, multi-family homes.
They're not, they don't have the
Yeah.
capacity to do 20 units or something like that.
Correct.
Because there's too many meters that they have to adapt to. That's what they explained. Sure.
Yeah, my parents have had them for like 10 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Us too.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And positive experiences with the company?
I mean, I looked at my mom's bill in the summer and it was like way less than it usually is in the winter, so.
Yeah.
They're satisfied, so I was just asking my dad, cause I wasn't sure if you guys have had this before in Nyack. I don't know if, they told me it wasn't a door-to-door person who came to that, like how they got connected, but I wasn't sure if this has happened in Nyack before, because I feel like it has.
But yeah, because Marcy was doing something, but
No, I remember other solar people coming around at some point, and like we used to turn them away because we already had
But
them.
my only thing is that you're not, I mean, I live in a condo, there are other condos around and townhouses or whatever. That wouldn't benefit, where I live or other condominiums in the village, where I think what Marcy was doing years ago, whatever, doesn't that cater to condominiums?
There's other solutions, yeah.
Yeah, there are other,
There's
that's the
solar
only
farm.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years, so I have resources outside of Sunrun, but this is primarily what I do.
Mhm.
And I
I'm
think
just, would be interested in that.
Yeah.
It's not just for single family homes, because we have other multi-family places, whether
Yeah,
they're co-ops.
that would
or
benefit, and that we'd
condos
like to have
here.
no solar.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I mean, I would love to.
Yeah, that's why I like having this conversation, because I'm not just a fly-by-night sales guy. Like, I value, like,
I love
Town of
it.
Opus is like,
Yeah.
way smaller than Nyack is, and I like just, having the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can take a little bit of a contrarian view. Okay, per se, I think it's a great program and benefits, but we're providing you with basically a license to solicit families in the village of Nyack. We're cutting out, I mean, first, number one, what about other companies? Are we gonna also provide them with the ability, a license to do that as well? In terms of, free enterprise and so forth? And number two is, for this ability to solicit, village of Nyack families, what does the village get from it?
There's a license fee. That's not much, like $20. Isn't there a fee for license?
I mean,
I will say, wouldn't it?
can
go
we
along
consider
with-
this like a franchise fee for,
I-
or?
I think here's the thing, we are not endorsing this. We are not endorsing this program. We're not sponsoring this program. We're doing nothing other than giving them a license, which is the provision for license is in our code to specifically allow people to do it, so long as they come to us for the license. So if we were making money on it,
It's $150 per license.
we charge for the
licensing 3 people.
Okay, so it's, so we're making a license fee, which is a fixed fee that we have for hawking.
Can an argument be made that with more people possibly purchasing solar panels, that does bring us to making a much more attractive as a like gold level, climate
Helps us
solution?
hit our benchmarks for
Yeah.
sustainability for sure.
Right, so that is a benefit in terms
There
of.
is a bet, so there is a
There's
benefit.
been, in other words, the more getting more solar out there.
Yeah.
Other question, I've been on the board now for about 5 years. This is the first time I can remember actually approving a hawker license. People are supposed to come to us for do it. What they do is they don't come to us. They just sell door to doors. They don't know or they don't care. They're supposed to get a license. So these guys actually came to us and did it the right way. So again, we're gonna put out, because I want to get a notice out to the public that we have given you a license to do this, but I'm gonna make clear that we're not endorsing it, but that I don't want people calling us and saying, who are these people going around? I'm gonna put out there, hey, there's people going around. We're not endorsing them, but we did give them a license to go door to door. So if they show up at your door, you don't have to buy anything, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to let them in, you don't have to talk to them. But they're not breaking the law. That's
And
what I
you
want to
also
make.
like a shirt or something. Our
Yeah, I have solicitor licenses from Merrimack. I have plenty of credentials from different villages. and all.
Right, so when you go knocking on the door, they'll be able to see that you're someone.
Oh, yeah, I clearly identify myself. I realize there's ring cameras and Google cameras. I am Michael Bender from Sunrun. I'm right over the bridge here. We have a map of all the existing Sunrun projects. So to answer your question, we have a Lowe's channel. So if you go into Lowe's, it's a different sales channel. than us. You could go online. So yeah, there is solar from Sunrun in the area that I have access to, so I can reference people. There's a project that's at the 176 North Broadway is already up at the approval for building.
Joe, Carla, sorry, just so you're at ease, it is better for our system if we have more people using heat pumps, more people using solar. So like, while there is a tangible development to quality of life as opposed to a financial benefit to the village.
Okay, but it will help us in our energy smart.
Yeah, because I mean, it really does help retrofit a lot of houses, especially like my house, for example, we get sun on one side of the house all day. So like, that's reduces our energy usage and reduces reliance on the grid if we have our own solar panels, so.
Okay.
More
All
or
right.
less.
A question, so are you your company planning on targeting or looking at condos in the future? Or is there a part of your company that speaks to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for different solutions. Right now, our bread and butter is, I like to call it like, we're the Hello Fresh of solar, because we focus on one thing, which is buying solar equipment. It has to be, there are like engineering requirements, like
Right.
capacity to the grid and going through, like you mentioned, with the meters and stuff. Right now, there's not a program, but they're literally coming out with different programs right now as we speak, like Sunrun Flex, which allows you to variably buy power from panels, so those could be interconnected, but as it exists right now, no, but we're always innovating. If you look us up, Mary Powell is like a powerhouse CEO. I've met her before. She's awesome. She was in the White House when they signed the bill in the first place to open up the tax credits and everything. So I manage the Elmsford office, so anybody that's coming in this village has to go through me. So just, we're not gonna run rampant, so I'm the point of contact for that.
All right, let's wrap this up. Anybody else, any questions? Oh,
Is
yeah,
there a possibility of having almost like a workshop where people can actually come and listen to what it is?
I'm sure they would love that.
I already.
Yeah, they would love it.
Yeah.
Love it. If we help to
Because I
support
think
them.
sometimes like I know from my house, like my kids don't open the door,
Yeah.
right? But if because I'm never home, right? But if I know that there's something like this is gonna be coming, I could potentially say, oh, let me go to this level.
Why don't we talk to Marcy about putting together something where they can hear from a couple of different, maybe a solar, maybe some other organizations or companies that provide climate related type energy solutions for people, because I would be reluctant to do one that for us to have any, I mean, they could go tomorrow and go to the Angel or go to the Nyack Center and say, hey, can we rent your space? We want to do a forum, and then advertise it. If we're going to be involved in it, then I think we have to be a little more ecumenical in giving a lot, and we're not endorsing any product. We're just giving people an opportunity to talk. But I agree with you that, I mean, I am not, listen, I come from a sales business, and I don't, door-to-door sales is the toughest type of, it's hard for them. It's not the easiest thing for the consumer to deal with. So if we sort of facilitated ways for them to meet people in a different way, I think would be not a bad thing. But with that said, all that's in front of us now is to give them
Yes.
a hawker's license. Can I, we've got on the table, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and Godspeed and good luck.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Safe
May the
home.
force be with you.
Oh, now you have to stay to the end. We make people stay to the end. If they get legislation in their favor. All right, adoption of the minutes. Can I get any motion to adopt the minutes of
Motion.
October 9th?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm abstaining.
Yeah.
Abstaining here.
2 abstentions for the people that were not here. That would be,
Wait, you have to vote though.
I voted aye. So 3 of us voted. To pass on action item 7.1, accepting the audited voucher summary. Can I get on the table?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. 7.2, approving a funding agreement with the YMCA for sports programs for Nyack youth.
Motion.
Second.
Could we hold that for 1 second?
No, not this one?
No, I wanna amend it slightly.
Okay, well, I was gonna ask you to explain it, so why don't you explain it and
Okay.
amend
It
it?
sounded like you were barreling along.
No, I'm gonna barrel along. I'm gonna start with this one.
Barreling.
I barreled through the audited voucher summary. Is there, you really think,
So
and the minutes?
last time Mary and I talked about this, maybe it was in the public section, maybe it wasn't. We wanted to see if we could get the Y to expand the hours of the drop-in basketball in the park and add kickball. They have agreed to do that. It exceeds our state grant by $1,500 to add those extra hours. So I'm proposing that we amend this resolution to say 31,500 to cover those extra services so that we can have basketball from 4 to 8 on Thursday
Do we have the
instead of
money?
the 6 to 8.
Oh,
And
I see.
add the kickball in at the same time.
Do we have the funds?
Yes,
Okay.
We do?
$1,500 was
We have it.
absolutely affordable, yes.
Okay.
It will come out of your cannabis.
Yeah, it's coming out of cannabis. This is the cannabis revenue. This is what it's been using for. And we're like Scrooge McDuck with the cannabis money. We've got it flowing everywhere, so. We wanna start investing it.
But are we gonna?
We wanna start investing it. This is what we're supposed to invest in.
About it, yeah.
This is what we want, this is exactly what we said we would do with it, is to do this, and the village. This would, remember, it would just be for Nyack residents, this is not for any, even though the YMCA services, a lot of people, this would be for Nyack residents.
Okay.
The village of Nyack residents.
Yes.
Village, yes, village of Nyack residents, yes. Any other comments or questions?
No.
All in favor of the legislation as amended by Andy?
Get a second, I don't think.
Oh,
Natalie will second.
He
it.
cut him.
now a second, all
Okay.
right.
It was a cutoff.
Oh, yeah, he did sort of cut in there. Okay, we have a first, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 7.3,
Does he actually believe that he has to stay?
no, you were joking. We get the hell out of here, oh my God. I had no idea you were still here, I was looking down. We were messing with you. We're getting punchy, sorry about that, Mike. He was gonna stay. Oh my God. I thought he laughed and I looked down. Thank you for clarifying that. I would have felt terrible if I looked up in half an hour and he's still here. All right, 7.3, resolution 25-184 to approve a permit application from YMCA to use Memorial Park basketball court for an open run youth basketball activity on Thursday evenings for July and August 2026. Can I get this on the
I'd like
table?
to amend this one as well.
Can you just hold on till I get a motion in a second? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Now, Andy, do you have any comments on this?
Make it from 4 to 8 and
Okay.
add kickball.
Oh, wait, did we just do this? No.
We
This
Did you?
is a park permit that
This-
follows on the grant,
All right, so we have to do that change for both the grant and the permit.
right?
Yes.
This is-
Okay,
this is
all right.
Fine.
So 4 to 8 and include
Includes
kickball.
the kickball on
Okay.
the lawn.
Okay, want to make sure we did it for the right, we have to do it for both resolutions. Okay,
Kickball now.
so this is the same program. This is just to approve the basketball court. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. We did 7475, 2025-186 to approve a street closure request from the village of Upper Nyack on North Broadway on Halloween. Can I get this on the table?
Motion.
Second.
I talked about this before. This is
Yes,
just
you did.
adding to their street closure. Any comments or questions?
I know, right?
No, nothing.
They did actually ask for it.
I know, what I think is so
It's just-
funny,
They
is
asked
that it says that they asked for it, so no question.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 7.6, we have basically handle that because we did pass the resolution. All right, we're done with resolutions, department reports. We have gotten an agreement with the police department to meet with pairs of trustees at a time.
Okay.
You've been
Oh,
meeting with the
good.
brass, and I'm gonna arrange they asked me to set up the schedule, so I'll
Okay,
set the
that's
schedule
fine.
with you all.
I didn't email the technical part.
It was, who would,
So,
who?
Two at a time. And I think
Who was
Okay.
she meeting with?
with, I think Captain Shannon, maybe.
More
Butterworth.
Popola, whatever his name.
Palazzolo is not, he's
He's
a
not-
public liaison.
Yeah,
He's not-
okay.
I think you want to meet with somebody who's in the leadership.
Well, that's fine.
And I love Sergeant Palazzolo, but he's not he will be the first one to say that he would not be empowered to speak about policy issues that you want to talk about. All right, anything from the village attorney or the village clerk,
Nah.
village administrator?
Well, what do you wanna know about? A couple of things.
I wanna know about.
Everything.
To let you know, there's a campaign in the offing to try to increase the food waste collections.
Okay,
You'll see some lawn signs going up. If you'd like a lawn sign, I have a few in my office right now. Thank you to that committee of composters for promoting that. Trying to increase participation in the town, in the village's food waste collection program. You can get free bags at the library at Village Hall, the drop off is over at the DPW building.
Oh, okay, never mind. That's what I wanted.
Can you have a collection, sorry, a bin outside? So that people, when, on weekends, people come and so they can just grab it instead of having to wait for village hall office hours? Something like
No,
that.
but don't they already use
As long as it's not a drop.
There's kind of a random miscellaneous bin at the DPW, I'm not sure.
No,
what
not,
bin it-
not for dropping off, for actually getting the.
For handing the bags.
The bags.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
What?
there's a, like, if you, I know up by me, we're across from Walgreens, there's a bin outside that you
By
can actually,
DPW,
Yeah.
I'm talking about. by
oh, for
village-
here,
by
oh,
village
in
hall.
front of the village.
Work at least
If
time
there's
to get out.
we're still happy to have people come to the door, you know.
Well, I know, but if it's.
We want them to see our educational materials and maybe sign up on our mailing
It's just
list.
something, just, just.
What about-
the hall is closed.
They're at the library,
They are at the library?
yeah. that's
Okay,
the other-
it is accessible on the weekends, the library.
Maybe a sign saying direct to people on the weekends is, go to the library. If you wanna compost.
Everybody, please use the program, there's free bags. And we're doing really well, if you look at our website, we have a graph which updates every time I get new weight. Data from the Rockland Green Organization, and right now. We are up to about 80,000 pounds of avoided greenhouse gas emissions. Which is about a multiplier of 3 from the number of pounds collected in food waste so far.
Okay.
I wanted to just remind people that the Nyack Tourism Grant application round has opened. And we can look at the village website to find out how exactly to apply for those.
Would the Quarter Millennial Committee, are we eligible to apply for a tourism grant? Dennis?
Yeah, I don't see why not. To promote,
You're asking me about grants? I know nothing about grants.
yeah, no, that's not, it's really, it's a
No,
question.
as a village committee, can we apply for a grant?
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to talk with Tomas about that and look at the terms of that grant. Absolutely. The sidewalk project on the north side has been temporarily on pause. It's gonna start up again. There will be some paving repair happening on Friday and on Monday. And Terra Firma will be back doing some landscaping restoration work next week. And then the Monday following, they'll start completing the last sections of sidewalk need to be torn out and replaced. And that's it for now.
All right, well, we have some other things from you when we get to old business.
I have a very quick question, Andy. I know I wasn't here last week, but has there been any update with the rodents? Is there less? I haven't.
That's on next.
Oh, okay.
I wanna get to that, trust me,
Nice.
Because I have not.
step foot back in that garden.
That's literally the next topic, so
Yeah,
let's get
okay.
right to it.
Before we get to Raj, can I request that we get
Oh, I hate
a
that
village a budget or the village financials? For the, up until
Yeah, we're planning a sort of a mid-year report,
Mid-year
on November 13th.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good, thank you.
Rats.
Rats.
Right.
So
Oh, I hate that word.
so our main effort right now is by our building department to go out and verify that every single mixed-use building in downtown has a carting contract for both the retail on the first floor and for the homes above it, if there are any, has proper containers for containerizing their trash, and has a contract with a pest control company. Those three items are part of the inspection now. And they're going bit by bit through all the buildings and meeting with the landlords and getting that information. And if they don't have it, they're ordering them to comply with those terms. And that program is rolling along, and the building department is putting significant effort into it.
Because I go there for takeout when I'm not cooking. I cook most of the time. It was at Morris. And I noticed that I guess the garbage was coming the next day, not necessarily outside of them, but I took pictures of like that block. And there were a couple piles of just garbage bags out there. Now, is that garbage or is that recyclable? And I thought that all business owners had to have like a container.
So. I'm sorry, at the risk of repeating myself, the point of our initiative is to contact all of the business owners and all of the building owners and make sure they have proper containers to use to put their trash out.
So basically,
So if there's trash on the sidewalk, it means they're not in compliance with that rule, and then we brought into compliance over time.
Okay, I mean, I just took pictures a couple days ago, so that's
So
why
share
I'm
pictures.
wondering.
So there are examples of people putting trash on the sidewalk, and the goal is to eliminate that.
Right, and it didn't look good either, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, that's
Because I know
absolutely,
that-
that exactly is the priority. I'm glad you're seeing that and reporting that when you see it, and when you.
I'll send you.
If you have retailer friends, or you're in shops, or you see people putting their trash out, that's exactly the violation we're trying to correct.
Got it.
Oh, Jack, yes,
you're the only one.
that's it. There's no other Dunnigan here.
He said, Mr.
So to addressing that, which I think is a very, very good law. But we had a discussion with the code enforcer with regards to that. On our block, we have no backyard. We have no, so it was recommended that we put the garbage bin in front of the store. It's just.
So this is the problem in a nutshell. The more compliance we have with containerization, the more creative solutions we need to come up with for actually storing containers when they're not in use. You're starting to see containers on the sidewalk precisely because that's what happens when we require people to use containers. Not all buildings can feasibly bring their containers indoors. Some can, some cannot. Some have an alleyway behind them when they're on a corner. We can put the containers on a side street, like you're seeing on Bridge Street for the Tarantellas, for example. But that's a real problem that Jack's absolutely right about. The more effective we are at stemming the uncontainerized trash on the sidewalk problem, the more we're gonna look at the problem of having containers stored on our sidewalks, which is an unfortunate.
Is there, I'm just looking, I'm literally walking down the street right now on Google to just to see, is there any, I mean, we should look for, is there a place to put a centralized, within a block or something of some of these places where there isn't otherwise, like just to get it off Broadway into one of the side streets.
What about Bird?
Well, I'm just looking at Bird now, our
Across the street from the Angel.
Across from the Angel, but I wonder whether or not, across the point is we should look at opportunities, because I think that Jack's right. We don't want to necessarily have a container, big giant container with garbage like standing right in front of a retail store on Broadway. That we do right down the block have Bird Street, which is a walking street to get to the park. But I mean, it's not like these things are disgusting. They're just they're
empty toters and trash cans, and they clutter up the sidewalk eventually. And that's something that the building department and I are working on as well. Each building owner is being asked to look at whatever way they might be able to find of bringing their containers back inside their building or storing them.
Inside the building.
I have one building owner right now who's looking at collapsible containers and hoping that she'll be able to use those, and that Carlo Menudo's service will agree to accept. Kind of use a container which is sort of wobbly or fabricy or springy or however it's designed. That may be an option, you know, we're gonna need to find creative solutions because we have a lot of buildings with very restricted interior. I worked with,
What did there've been rats forever and there's been trash forever. What did they do 50 years ago? Forgive me for looking at you, Jack. You actually might know.
And I'm gonna address this, because, my uncle, he, cleaned up the rat situation in 1972 in, Haverstraw when they put up the bowline plant. It's interesting, you know, that they always talk about, how to eliminate them, et cetera, so on and so forth. We have never had as many, we haven't had a rat situation as we've had now. Now, I've been kind of in this, you know, neighborhood for about, I guess, roughly 50 years. And, you know, you would see some vermin, you know, about, but, it's,
You don't like that, were you?
No, I just said not like this.
it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable,
Yeah.
including, as Donna will did, it's the community garden, you know, and that's, but it just.
Yeah, it popped, it all of a sudden, it sprouted, it came out of,
Yeah,
like, we
yeah,
weren't,
and what it is, all right.
Yeah, good.
Here's another reason,
The
it's
water.
because of, the weather patterns that we
Warmer,
had.
yeah.
Dry, this is the same weather that we had last year, a dry period towards the end, no water. And so, and rats gonna go wherever water is, wherever, you know, that's it, they're gonna move. And they move more, you know, in situations like this. Around the village, it's the same thing. And because there's more restaurants about, now, that's why I said with the containers, I think it's brilliant, it's a great idea.
Gotta find a place to put them.
Yep.
The, is there a sense, I have a sense that I've heard fewer complaints recently. Has it gotten better or is it just people haven't complaining as much?
I think it's anecdotal. Nobody actually has data.
I don't count, okay.
Well,
I mean, anecdotally.
They're still around.
And I think that the fire at the plaza and the vacant buildings really created kind of a storm of road
And before
activity over
the
there.
fire, they had a big problem going on there.
Yeah, and there's, so it exists as a problem for sure.
Well, I'm just saying, because we've been on this now for a couple of
months.
months. Have we made a dent? That's
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah, there's no way of knowing.
Okay.
Well, what happens now is that rats go inside. So they're.
Trying to get in.
They're sad but true. They're comfortable in the cold weather and so they're gonna look for a warmer place.
Yeah.
So what we can measure is compliance with containerization, having Carter contracts and having pest control. Right now, we don't have the ability to measure how many rats are out there.
Well, but that's a long-term measure to reduce the feeding opportunities for rats.
Exactly.
The rats that are already here, unless we wait for them to die of old age, we have to have a measure to get rid of
Or
them.
put them
We
on
have
birth
poison
control.
out there.
And they got
All those pest control contracts are killing rats. That's what they're
All
for.
right, so we're killing rats. That's what I wanna know. We're killing rats.
What happens to the birth control?
And we're using both. The problem is the birth control again is a long-term.
Long term.
Yes,
Wanna get rid of rats here.
they're, you know, doing
They put-
whatever what rats do to populate.
We're doing all the above, right? We've got people working on all sides.
We have plans to explore birth control, but I haven't implemented it yet.
Okay.
Okay, and then maybe we could do both. That's
We
cool.
need a squadron of cats.
Can we like?
And what are we gonna do with it? What about when the cats run wild?
That we deal with that.
Lori Puka will be thrilled, but
We
everybody
used
else
to have a lot
will
of cats and we don't anymore. We used to have a lot.
be. All right. By the way, I don't know if cats actually, they're mice. They're for mice. They don't really attack rats.
Yeah.
Rats are bigger
Yeah.
than a lot of cats. So I don't know if they can, we might,
Cats and rats,
They don't play well.
do the cats eat the rats or do the rats eat the cats?
they just,
Get at it,
they-
go at it.
They're, it becomes a mess after a while.
All right, so let's hold off on that.
Keep your rat situation.
All right.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, given the hour, let's hold off on more discussion. We do have a report about the adaptive reuse. Is there anything you want to highlight about that people should read through and talk about offline before we get back here?
Well, we need, Dennis and I need guidance. Are we pursuing a different version of that zoning law?
Let's
sorry,
make sure we tee that up for, I'll start a conversation about it. We'll tee it up in inter trustee discussions, and I'll summarize them for you.
Wait, can you just repeat the question, just so that I know it?
Whether the legislation has to be recast in some way.
Summarize it. So
Oh.
the existing draft is an adaptive reuse approach where whatever building you've got is what you've got,
Yeah.
but you can put apartments in it.
Yeah.
And a variation that would provide maximum flexibility for redevelopment of the site would include new construction.
Right, knocking it down, putting something, no, I got it. I got it.
Within the limitations of if there's a historical registry type problem with the building, then
There's a building that's.
But a lot of these buildings, if you look through the list that's in Andy's memo, there's a lot of these buildings are nondescript. They're not historically important. The key point is to be able to allow the property owners to have the ability to convert it to housing rather than have it basically either be a single family home or a religious / educational use, which, you know.
And my comments on that is, and I think I mentioned it, but in terms of the ultimate arbiter of this grantor and special permit should be the village board, number one.
Yes.
And number two is I want to consider raising, I mean, just as a part of the special permit, raising the affordable housing percent, something that we can discuss.
It was actually raised in the legislation for some reason at 15. I'm not sure why it was raised in the legislation in the first place. But it could be that we can consider. That's another thing we can consider.
Let's marinate on this one.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's talk about just give me a minute on the outdoor fitness parks so people have in their heads and they can think about it.
So this is, I provided, I think, a memo on this last meeting. We had a community member who would love to see some equipment in Memorial Park. We obtained some preliminary design information about that. A half dozen pieces of equipment, push-ups, pull-ups, various things like that, runs about 15 grand. The surfacing is closer to 35 to have a rubber surfacing. We're looking at about a $50,000 project. It can fit in there, it could be beautiful. If you want me to pursue it, we need to decide where we're gonna get the money.
They're doing that in the park in South Nyack, because I walk the trail a
Yes,
lot.
there are.
So they have a couple there. Do we have to do the whole thing that's gonna, you said 6 pieces, 6 pieces of.
Well, the design is flexible to one thing or 20 things.
Okay.
But the space that we were thinking about located between the basketball court and the baseball backstop kind of green area there. It's smallish, but there could be equipment
Then
there.
they'd move the makeshift one that's by the garden, behind the garden. And it'll be a place that everybody could
It
go.
would be nice, for $50,000, we could talk about how to fund it. That's kind of the question. If you want to see that, we would finalize a sort of proposal, have the Parks Commission review it. But we have to decide if you want to pay for it.
And also,
Right now, we don't have a grant. that would pay
and
for it.
also the baseball backstop.
Well, the backstop is, it doesn't need to be removed in order to have a fitness park.
Okay, so that's good.
In exploring funding, I'm assuming you're gonna look to our assemblyman or the state senator.
Sure.
Yeah,
Of course, we're gonna go there.
Everyone.
I mean, listen, I'm with you on this personally. I see these things at different parks. I don't see them being used very often. I think some people do use them, but it's more just like one of these things where you say, hey, we're for physical fitness. So you put a thing in the park and then it rusts over. It's like,
This is in South Nyack, there's a couple.
And, is he sitting, are you sitting or just sitting there?
Well,
They're just putting them in. They're
And that's
just
kind of like, part of me wants to do a wait and see, like, if South Nyack has it, are people gonna go?
People are waiting online.
Yeah, then I'll feel a little bit like, okay, maybe
It'd
we
be nice
should.
if those machines came with some little clicker that showed you how often they got used. You know?
That's,
I wish.
Maybe the.
Well, sure they.
I wish if my home gym came with that, it would be really embarrassing. I don't know if it would, I don't know if it would have turned to double, I just have a, whatever machine. But I don't know if it would turn over to double digits yet. It might still be in the single digits counter. We haven't used the second little dial. All right, but let's, I mean, listen, we have a memo on it. Why don't we send a memo out? We'll try to start a discussion about that. I have an open mind to it. I just don't have a particularly strong feeling about one way or the other. All right, let's go over. Last thing is the the date. So we did send out a memo. We got sort of feedback back that for everybody seemed who voiced a comment, who had a preference, preferred Wednesday over Tuesday. But I want to make sure that we have that on the open. I mean, I looked at all the dates. I mean, checked the holidays, the Jewish holidays and the other holidays, and we don't have any conflicts on that. The only thing I would suggest, Linda, I had one thing about these dates, that the December 9th and December 10th, I don't know if it was intentional, but December 9th is a Wednesday and December 10th is a Thursday, but they're in the.
So it's really the 8th and the 9th? It's
really the 8th. If it was Wednesday, it'd be December 9th, and if it were, someone check that, just go look, because I think that's right.
To be the first Monday in December, though, each one to meet with our annual.
Oh, you mean
report.
the organization?
Oh, the organization meeting has to be what?
State Village Law, I don't have it in front of
I
me.
think it's the first Monday
Right, so
of
that
December.
December one has to be.
So each one of those are gonna change, I believe.
So the December ones are gonna be different. They're gonna be on December, whatever the first December is.
The first Monday in December?
First Monday in December
Yeah,
would be
first
December
Monday.
seventh. Okay, so both of them would be December 7th, regardless of whether we
Isn't it
do the meetings on
December
Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, it's the first.
December first, Tuesday.
Oh, what am I?
That would be.
You're looking at this year. You're looking at this year right now,
That's twenty.
I guess.
For next year,
So it'll be December 7th, not the 10th.
December 7th.
Oh, we have to change our meeting in December this year, though.
Yeah,
Yes,
December, this
correct.
year's are December
1,
Yeah.
right?
But we don't have a meeting right now scheduled for that, or at least we
No,
haven't
we do
talked
not.
about
We
it.
don't.
We have nothing.
All right, so let's do that right now before we even get to next year's schedule,
Yeah.
because we passed a law that we have to move the December 11th meeting to December 1st.
First? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Or we gotta add a meeting on December 1st, separate, just for the purpose of reorganization.
Wednesday.
Or you
Wednesday,
put
actually.
them on.
Wait, are we doing?
It's December 11th.
11th.
It was set for the 11th right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what is the preference to add a meeting on December 1 or just to move the meeting from
11th.
December 11th to the 1st?
Let's move it from.
Move
to
past
the
the-
first.
Yeah.
Don't forget,
That's for this year. We have to do it this year, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
don't forget, we set a public hearing for December 11th.
We did.
Oh, and yeah, to revisit.
All right, can I get a motion to amend the motion for the public hearing to change it from December 11th to December 1st?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good
We didn't
enough?
publish it yet, right?
We didn't publish, we didn't do anything.
No.
It's fine,
No one even knows about it, except for 3 people who already left.
no, it's fine.
All right, so that's gonna be now, so let's move that meeting to December 1st.
Okay, hold on.
And if we feel obligated that there's some pressing business that needs to be addressed before the end of the year, then we can always do something
So that'll be the only meeting in
in December. We always have one meeting in December, it just would be now earlier in December.
All right, so
And it's enough distance, because the meeting before that is November 13th, so there's still a good, 2.5 weeks.
So
between
the annual, we call the reorganization, will be December 1st.
Yes.
And so there's gonna be one meeting in December 1st.
And we're gonna do all the family business, we're gonna take care of that. Public hearings, the whole bit.
So let's pick.
All right, so let's look at, all right, who, just as a straw poll, not as a vote, how many people would be? All right, let's talk about dates first. How many people would prefer next year to do the meetings on Wednesday versus Thursday?
Wednesdays.
Can I make
Sure.
a point about doing meetings on Wednesdays?
Yeah,
Okay, that's Wednesdays, you have the architectural review board meetings.
yes.
Right? That would basically change, that's got 20% of the meetings, the dates.
Check those.
And,
Yeah, we can work around that
You
easily.
mean,
what's that?
We can work around the ARB easily. They only have one meeting a month.
They only have one meeting a month, that's 20%. So the question is, what would happen?
We would, well, did we check these dates against
This
the ARB dates?
calendar
yeah,
has,
they're the same.
has
There's
two
days.
conflicts with the ARB. If you're looking at Wednesdays on this calendar,
14.
the April 15th meeting would need to be changed. And the November 18th meeting would need to be changed.
Then what I would suggest is for both of those days, just move the meeting that week to Thursday. Rather than skip a week, keep the weeks in the same balance.
Yeah, I like that idea.
That's fine.
So make that a 6.
All right, so, but I just want to get a sense of Wednesday, is there a consensus of that we'd like to, I mean, because I suggested this. And I'll take public comments on it, because I know Jack's been around a long time, so the meetings have always been on Thursday. Thursday is just a problematic date because there's so many events on Thursday that we end up having to run out from or run out to, you know, the NAACP has their events on a Thursday, for example, other things are going on. And I sort of like the idea of moving it to, you know, more the middle of the week. But, you know, it's not, I'll be fine if we don't, but I want to, what's the general feeling? If we, Wednesday or Thursday, what would be your preference?
If we're all serious about moving it Wednesday, only because as I told
But-
you,
Wednesday or Thursday, which would you prefer, if you had a choice?
honestly, Thursday.
Okay, keep it Thursday.
Yeah, because it's just easier. I get that day of rest in between. No, when I do
I know.
the January to June time, I'm doing the back and forth.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
just, I like the buffer space.
I have no preference. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like, don't go off of me. If
Yeah,
if everyone's okay with Wednesdays, I can make it work.
Either way's fine, either way's fine.
I haven't really thought about it.
I mean,
Built
What would you
it.
prefer?
I preference because I already had it scheduled in my work schedule Thursdays, but then I would have to rearrange my staff meetings for another day. And you get what I'm saying, like, so, because my staff meetings are usually on Wednesdays,
Okay,
but it's not that, like, I have enough time to change it, it's just like, I just need to know what we're doing.
all right, so, given that feedback,
Wait, do we need a public hearing on this? No, right?
to change the dates?
Yeah.
It's not a legislative change, it's
Okay,
our own internal innovation. So we can actually do it right now, we just have to, we gotta give the heads up. All right. I really would like to move the things to Wednesday, but I'm fine leaving them on Thursday. We need a compelling reason to move them because they have always been set by tradition on Thursday. So I'm fine with that. Can we move it to 7 o'clock
Yeah.
Is that a 7:30?
instead of 7:30?
Like, yeah, I should be back.
Right, I'm still.
No.
I think 6:30, the problem is that.
Okay, now, I'm fine with moving it, I'm totally fine.
7 o'clock. I would like to move to 7 o'clock because
No problem.
7:30 just gets to be a late night, especially when we have anything that.
I'll give you those eyes, but yeah.
I'm like, I'm barely making it 2 wheels here.
I'm gonna say slacks.
If we can just get half an hour earlier, I think it'd be better for everybody.
Wednesday at 6, I'll be happy with that. No, I'll stop.
Um,
I'm fine with that.
all right, so why don't we, so set the dates for the Thursdays that are in there, except we have to move December 7th to December 7th is correct. That is the first Monday of 2026 in December.
Joe, I know it does scare Andy, but I could always run a meeting for you if you wanna go to it.
I just have this is my obligation. I'm supposed to be here, so I'm here if I need to be here, but you're right. I may have to miss it sometime, and that's fine. And next year I might have a trip that might take me away for a week.
Quick comment, just be aware that this board schedules workshop meetings from time to time.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
So instead of starting at 6:30, they may start at 6, if you want a whole hour.
Yeah, I think we'll deal with that. Those weeks we'll deal with that, or we'll just push the meeting to 7:30 for that meeting and then
Right.
leave it at 6:30. We can always do that.
Push
We
it
can
up.
always move the meeting to a different time once it's set, but the question is, what do we want to get in the calendar?
Yeah, I'm okay with a consistent 7 unless, yeah,
Unless we need a
Unless we
workshop.
need a-
unless we need-
Shop at 6:30,
Yeah.
because that will just go on forever. I don't,
I mean, our
right.
perhaps I thought.
All right, so Thursday, 7 o'clock.
depends.
I think that's people, said, well, 7:30, people who work, they get back, but people are working weird hours now, and a lot of them work from home, and it's not as if we get a big crowd unless we're talking about leaf blowers or cannabis, so.
I'm done.
Mind your tongue.
Yes, because they'll come out. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's only it's only when we bring out the hits, the greatest hits that people come out for. They stay at home if we're gonna sing the new stuff, but if the old stuff comes out, they want to hear that. All right, anything else on that? So that we're all good with that, 7 o'clock on Thursday next year. All right, communications, we got a communication about the donation made. We wanted from Lighthouse Swim to the Nac Center and Soup Angels. That's lovely of them to support the local organizations. I will open up for any more public comment. That would be you, Jack. You're the public. Anything you want to say?
Oh, yes, I think something just came, well, it's been an ongoing, a part of, problem with, the Woolworth, building, there's doors being open and, and exceptionally loud music.
Yeah, that's been
At
going
night
on.
into the wee hours,
Yeah,
yeah,
Been a
so,
problem.
the building's being foreclosed upon
I know,
by the
yeah.
bank. In fact, I think it was foreclosed on by the bank. The bank bought it back.
yeah.
The bank took it away from the owner. They had a $4.9 million loan. They did an auction on Tuesday, which I tried to attend, but I was a few minutes late, and in those few minutes, they actually executed the auction to sell it to themselves because they didn't get the reserve price. Nobody showed up for the auction.
Oh.
So they bought it and now they own it, so now it's no longer owned by the person that's owned it for years.
I thought we were pushing eminent domain on that.
We still could,
Oh,
we still could,
okay.
but what, in the meantime, what happened was the
Yeah.
person foreclosed on their loans, and the bank that foreclosed on loans then took possession of the property, so now they own it free and clear. So now they're gonna probably try to sell it for whatever they can get for it.
The bank.
The bank.
The bank.
In terms of the bridge, and I thought there was also illegal tenant, or that there was.
There's illegal, there's tenants that, they're
They're not-
illegal apartments.
Yeah, they're.
The tenants aren't illegal, the
Yeah,
tenants aren't illegal,
yeah.
the apartments are illegal.
Yeah.
And we've got violations on them up the wazoo, as well as, that's a legal term, Dennis. Up the wazoo, and we also have, and they are in court, for terminating those leases and getting out. And I believe there's an eviction proceeding against at least one of those tenants separately and from that.
The same thing.
Yeah, so that's what I understand. So, yeah, that building's a problem, and the sooner that that building gets to a new owner would be very good, and they do something more constructive with it.
Okay.
And if we can take it by comments, I mean, we'll still follow that process. Now,
Great progress, like, I spoke with the new owner, I set him up with a contact with Manny, they've spoken. They're gonna start working on fixing any kind of permitting or violation issues as soon as
Talking about the
possible.
bank,
the bank, yes, the bank,
that's the new owner.
is it, yes. the
Yeah.
bank.
It's a,
Which
it's a,
one?
The lawyer for
not
the
a
bank.
typical bank,
Okay.
it's a Avatar Financial, whatever they are.
Good, probably a hard money lender. All right.
Speaking of property, one quick question, you know, the old Ernestines, across from the Baptist church, is that still? The one that we were.
Oh, the one that's owned by the county.
Yeah.
We've gone to the county to say, hey, can we get this?
106 High.
Yeah, 106 High.
The Donald
Yeah,
Wall
they have
sign.
absolutely promised that before it comes up for auction, we will be notified.
Okay,
And we'll be able to buy that, and we would like to buy that. And then do something with it, not sure what, but we wanna, there's a couple of good uses that we could put that property to. All right, any other public comment?
I do. All right, so I know you mentioned.
You're not public, you talk
I'm
anything.
sorry, but there's somebody else here, unless Jack has something else.
well, Jack is someone.
Jack makes public comment, he has,
Yeah, but you really didn't quite answer,
we're trying to get them shut down.
pardon me?
We're going to the bank and trying to get them shut down.
Oh, shut down.
To actually adhere to the law on both the zoning problems as well as the fact that they've got a tenant there who is really not cooperative.
Okay, all right.
So yes, that was why I brought up the fact that the property's now
Yeah,
been
I know.
foreclosed upon.
You're talking about the bridge.
The bridge, yes, the bridge.
Cool.
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you.
No.
I'm just putting out some friendly reminders. I know you spoke about the Monster Mash for Nyack Center on
Yes.
October 25th. I also would like to remind people to, if they're gonna support Nyack Center, the November 1st is their Legacy Gala.
Yep. Which sold out, actually.
You know, I tried to get a ticket.
And I
Ticket for this.
Are you doing?
If you
I'll
got.
sell you for $300.
Yeah, I made my dad come.
So yes,
Okay.
good support for that.
All right, that's good, good to, and then I'll talk about December when.
Nolan's gonna be there.
Yeah.
I don't usually go.
Okay. All right, we have no executive session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
God bless us all. How did we go 2 hours and 55 minutes?
I don't know.
I just leave.
Please turn it off before you start talking.
I'm just saying.
And a small.
Thank you, chat.
If anybody's still there,